How's it going, y'all? And welcome to Castaway Anime, your favorite anime podcast. As always, I'm Neon Manta.
And I'm Crunchy Bagels.
And we're very glad that y'all joined us on this episode number 108 of the podcast. Today's catch of the day is the Fall 2024 Seasonal Anime Impressions podcast. And as always, we're joined by two very special guests. Go ahead and introduce yourselves.
Today, it's Kamimashita. Hello. I'm very human.
Very
Sounds
human
like
and not a
something a
robot that can't
robot
record on
would
Audacity
say.
for some reason.
And hi, it's me, the anime guru, future YouTube legend. That is
Legend
all.
in the making. Yeah, we're very grateful y'all stopped by to talk about the new fall 2024 seasonals with us. It's a pretty exciting looking season so far from what we've seen up till this point. We've seen about half the shows.
Mm.
Yeah, a lot to look forward to.
So this season, there are a couple big standout shows that I really, really like. And then, surprisingly, granted, I did not watch the isekai and native isekai and generic light novel fantasy.
How
So,
dare you?
barring those, because, half the time I don't watch them, I'm more sane that way. I love anime more that way. Barring those, the season, it has a few stinkers, but it feels like the median quality, like the average show, is not as bad as it often is in other seasons. They're all fine. There's a lot of shows that are just kind of okay that I would not hate watching another episode of, but that I do not intend to.
Mm.
Oh
would
yeah,
say I feel-
I'm pretty much in agreement. It's been the ones that you expect to be standout are standout, and there's a couple the hidden gems in here that maybe we can bring to light, we can bring to the masses, get them on the good shit.
Yeah, I agree. I feel very similarly about the median show being pretty decent. There are a couple standouts, and then there's like two shows in here that I really like that I didn't know I was going to.
Have y'all like watched an entire season's worth of first impressions before, or is this a new thing for y'all?
I have not.
I don't usually. I mean, I like give most things a chance, but I'm usually pretty picky.
Meanwhile, I'm over here, grizzled veteran, having seen dozens of isekai at this point, and I want to die a little more each time I'm subjected to one.
Crunchy is like a science experiment, like constantly being cut open and diced through, and he's like begging for death, but then the scientists inject him with like a little more life juice, prolonging his demise. He's praying for a death that will never come.
I mean, someone needs
That's
to
me
watch all
every
the isekai.
time. Oh, go on.
No, that's
Just a fact.
Yeah,
Just a
every
fact.
time I watch isekai, I just grow a little more numb to the world. A piece of my soul shatters and dies. Which is why I didn't watch any of them this block.
I will say
I watched them all but then I also I don't think I watched a single one of them to completion, except for I think except for one of them.
I did not finish a single episode of Isekai this block. I don't believe, but or like native Isekai or anything. I'm actually so unfamiliar to like trying out every show of the season. I think that watching shows for this block was my first ever experience just having a total non-starter. Like there was one show I watched just one scene of and then I just turned it off. I don't think I've
Yeah,
ever done that
that's-
with an anime.
A common occurrence here on the seasonal impressions.
like you need to experience the bad to really understand how good the good is. Like
Exactly.
I guess so.
like it's like you gotta do it every now and then. Just suck it up.
It's
Yeah,
a
like for. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, go on. No, I feel like you're gonna say basically the same thing I'm going to.
Well, you go ahead and say it because I was gonna do the thing
Okay.
anyway.
Yeah, I was astonished at, well, I guess early on into, watching seasonals, I was astonished at just how much I can withstand, obviously the good stuff I actively want to watch compared to just how tapped out of the bad stuff I am. And an example of being addicted to the good stuff and wanting to shoot it right into my arm is Dandadan. I knew what thing you were building towards.
Yeah, I was gonna say, don't you have like a newfound appreciation for Dandadan now that you like can compare it with contemporary shows of the same season and be like, wow, this shit's even better than like I would have thought of it previously.
Yeah, there was. I won't spoil this. There was a show that I watched right after Dandadan that I think was made worse by having to watch it right after. I'm gonna be real with you. This is the best show of the block, like easily.
Yeah,
I didn't even have to
yeah.
think about it.
There was not much competition. I think there were only 2 shows this block that I was like, I don't like them as much as Dandadan, but I do like them.
We probably have the same 2 shows we're thinking of.
I think we all have the same 2 shows we're thinking of.
I think it'd be really funny if we don't, though. I think
that would be hilarious. But come on, they have to be the same 2, other than Dandadan.
I don't know your guys' taste. So, it could be a
don't assume, Crunch. Remember the last time we assumed on the Seasonal Impressions podcast?
Assuming makes an ass out of you and me.
For all you know, I
this is
could
peak
really
fiction.
love Loner Life in Another World. That could be.
What if that's peak fiction, Crunchy?
What if that's better than Dandadan?
I didn't watch it. I don't know.
Oh,
Then
Crunchy,
you don't know.
You're missing out, bro.
Spoiler
Little
alert,
did
it's
you
not,
know.
but
Okay.
anyways, yeah, Dandadan is fantastic.
Why do you think it's so
Totally.
good?
So
well, yeah, go ahead, Crunchy.
So the main appeal of this first episode to me, and what it seems like many of the other people who have watched it, is that it's weird. It's really weird. And you can tell it's the type of show that loves just being as weird as it possibly can. But it's a very approachable kind of strangeness where, some shows are just so esoteric that I can't get into them. You have to be like a very specific kind of person to fall in love with it. But with this show, I think almost anyone who can get into anime at all will be able to get into this show's brand of bizarreness. And from what I've seen, just from fleeting comments on the AniList forums that I read in response to episode 1, it only gets stranger from here on out, and I am so excited for it.
You have no idea how badly I wanted to smash my mouse onto the next episode button, but I had to restrain myself to watch everything else.
Not gonna lie, you cut out, at least on my end, right after Smash, and I thought you were about to say how much I want to... God, what was her name? How am I blanking on
Momo?
this? How much you want to smash Momo.
I mean, also not an incorrect assumption, but... I said next episode button.
I mean, so I was actually fortunate enough to be able to watch it, like the 3-episode theatrical premiere. So like that was an amazing experience. And then I will say that the one that you should want to smash is actually the grandma. But you'll learn.
I do. Yeah, the grandma. She is the ultimate guild.
So fine.
I can't. I can't even hear me out this one. Like I can't hear me out on her.
You don't need to hear me out. She's she looks like she's in her 20s.
I mean, no, she's shown in the flashback, in her Shrine Maiden costume.
Well, you see her in the opening.
Yeah.
Speaking of Creepy Nuts, I can't believe Creepy Nuts are the contending for opening of the year with themselves.
Absolutely.
Wait, what's the other one?
Mashal.
Oh, right. I thought you meant
still
in the
listen
season.
to that one on a regular basis.
Yeah, I as soon as I heard Otonoke, I immediately bought it, and I've been bumping it.
Oh, hell yeah.
Creepy Nuts just makes all the best openings and endings because of Call of the Night. But yeah, this is another banger from them. And this show, dude, there are a lot of good openings this season, actually. Like, a surprising amount of them that stood out to me. And this is obviously one of them. Just the bright lights in the background with the characters going by. It's great.
The like
It
funky
does
colors and
look awesome.
stylization and everything.
Hell yeah.
I love that Ken does the Devilman Crybaby run, paying homage to Devilman Crybaby, but also by Science Saru.
Yeah, I guess I don't know. What is everyone's thoughts on the show as a whole? Because I've already said my thesis statement about it. What are your
The
thesis statements about this show?
it is a weird show, and I love how weird it is. But I think what's even hard carrying it the most, even outside of just the the stellar action animation by Science Saru, is the performances from Natsuki. Oh no, hold on, I gotta make sure I pronounce this right. Natsuki Hanai and Shion Wakayama, who play Ken and Momo respectively, because they have like the best chemistry together.
Dude, okay. Something All right, so if you told me just in the abstract without any other supporting details. All right, so there's this show and there's like this, popular headstrong girl who falls in love with this nerd by the end of the episode. Like at the end of the very first episode, she's like clearly has an attraction towards him that's building. And he's like this shy nerdy kid. I would have been like, "Wow, that's going to be garbage in it." No, this show made me buy it completely. Like, I understand exactly why that would happen, because they just have such good chemistry. Like, I understand it. I'm picking up what they're putting down.
Dandadan's a love story. Like, even though it's a Shonen Jump Plus anime, it's just straight up a love story.
And I love that about it. It's the most bizarrely told, convoluted, seemingly based on the first episode, love story in existence. But that's like such a good hook to me, because these two people, they're bickering even like immediately when they meet, they're already bickering and having this competition to see like, oh, well, I'm going to go to this alien hotspot and see if one abducts me. Oh, I'm going to go to this ghost hotspot and see if I get possessed. And they both go out, and then it turns out both are real, because that's just the kind of show this is. It's great. I love every single interaction between them.
I think this really plays into what Manto was talking about when we have to really praise the voice actors, because in a show like this that bends genres so like fast and like on the flip of a switch, right? Like you have the scene where they're like yelling at each other and being really aggressive, and then all of a sudden it turns into this like really introspective, heartfelt like memory about her grandma and this like little ritual she used to do but made her embarrassed, and then the next second like they're being attacked by aliens, right? In order to be able to like turn and pivot on a dime like that really requires some skill, and I think that's shown off like really well in this episode.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And I like what Crunchy said earlier about just the how bizarre it is. And I don't know if I'm alone on this, but the content of the episode, sort of the brand of bizarreness, somewhat reminded me of Fooly Cooly of all things. Maybe with like the alien stuff and all of the like coming of age imagery, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I can see
I really
it.
liked it. I
I
really
ain't
liked it.
seen Fooly Cooly, unfortunately, so I
What?
can't.
Dang.
I need to, but I have not, unfortunately.
I haven't seen it either, but I know the vibe of the show, and
What?
I understand where you're coming from on that.
I-
But by the way,
What are you
Crunchy,
doing?
are you familiar with the voice actors Natsuki Hanai and Shion Wakayama?
No.
All right, so what if I told you that Ken's voice actor, his two other most popular roles are Ken Kaneki from Tokyo Ghoul and Tanjiro from Demon Slayer?
I have not seen Tokyo Ghoul. It's been a hot minute since I've seen Demon Slayer, so I wasn't able to recognize him. But he's definitely putting on a strong performance.
His speaking voice, he's doing a different voice than the Tanjiro one, but when he's screaming, you can hear the Demon Slayer. But then what if I told you that Shion Wakayama's most prominent voice role before this was Takina from Liko Riko?
That is actually surprising. I need to go back and like compare their voices, because they're doing, obviously two characters who are like polar opposites. I mean, this girl has some range.
Yep.
Yeah, that I didn't even recognize that. That's crazy.
I just looked into it now. I did not know that Natsuki Hanai was Otokawa from Odd Taxi. But that totally makes sense now that now that I'm thinking about it. And that was a great performance.
Another thing I would like to point out about this show, because there's some shows later on, cough cough, that will, I let's just say I put them on 2x speed, and it felt like the right speed. This show goes like 100 miles per hour at all times. It is so well paced. It is so tight and punchy. And dude, okay, I love the way it begins because we just start and there's already like, we get to see Momo fighting with her ex and, bickering. And like, we're just immediately thrown into a scenario. And we don't need to have context immediately. We learn it over the course of the first few minutes of the episode, really. But we just immediately get shown, hey, here's a thing happening that is, important to understanding the current state of her character. We're just giving you this information as efficiently as possible to build your investment immediately. Whereas other shows would take the more of the course of, let's have a long, drawn-out flashback that gets us to the point where we can even begin the show. And so it feels like you're just doing the homework before you can see the plot actually start. Here it's like, no, you're in the plot immediately. Good. Shows should start that way more often. That's based.
Hmm.
Maybe this is just me having a zoomer attention span, but I really appreciated this show's pacing, especially because, once again, it is so weird, and part of the charm is, here's a weird thing happening, and then it gets just twisted to be even weirder, and it's just back-to-back insanity. For that kind of show, that very snappy sense of pacing works well.
Yeah, the show, when it's like going 100 miles per hour, it does feel very fast, but it never feels so fast that you can't keep up with it, and it does slow down for the more quiet moments, like Momo talking with Ken over the phone about her past with her grandma and how she was a spirit medium and had her do a little like ritual every time she walks to school to keep her good, the good vibes, the good aura, the good chi up to keep her safe from the ghosts, and how it led to kids bullying her, and how she kind of like resented her grandma for it, but in reality she was resenting the people who were indirectly making fun of her grandma. And you get to see the sensitive side of this, otherwise outwardly brash and brazen little lady, and how she's will stand up for this, nerdy guy who they bond indirectly over their belief in the supernatural, just on opposite ends of the spectrum. And then I love how they get to I love how the scene of where she's dismissing Ken outright, being like, no, I don't believe in aliens, you fucking weirdo, this is why you have no friends. But then before she completely walks away, she's like, yeah, you know what, I'm sorry, that was out of pocket, I shouldn't have said that, I'm sorry. I don't believe in aliens, but I do believe in ghosts. Only for her kindness to be immediately turned into mockery by Ken being like, oh, you stupid bitch, ghosts aren't real.
That is an amazing scene. It's crazy because I have very much been sold on Momo's character after just one episode, and I feel like that's because the show just starts so fast. But I love that scene in particular where where she like calls him like, oh, this is what all like loser otaku do. Obviously aliens aren't real, you dummy, blah blah blah. And then she like goes off on him and she walks away like towards the camera, and then she walks all the way past the camera, and then the camera zooms out to show that she stopped after she had left the purview, and then it like shows her beginning to walk back, and it has that shot where they're like on opposite ends with that giant door in the middle separating them. I just think that scene in particular is shot so powerfully for being one of the scenes that isn't as action oriented, it isn't as inherently flashy, but it was very memorable to me.
Yeah, the directing of the show is very top notch. I can't help but wonder what would happen if Yuasa had directed this, but what's Yuasa been working on recently? I feel like he hasn't made anything in a while.
He
Oh,
like
man.
left Science Saru, didn't he?
Did he?
I'm
I
pretty
believe
That
sure he
can't be
did.
right. Science Saru is his studio.
I mean, you can fact check me. I think he left.
I might need to fact check that. Yeah. Someone bring up another talking point while I fact check that.
I mean, speaking of Science Saru, the animation has been really just a pleasure to watch and on point. Like after I saw this like at the theatrical release or whatever, I picked up the manga because I was so enamored with it, and it really does a great job of bringing it to life. You know, like in the manga, it does start off with her little like gangster walk. I don't know what you call it. Her like little swag she does when her hands are in her pockets and her like feet are like extended.
Isn't that
Yeah,
a
little
Doflamingo
walk.
walk?
It's such a way to introduce someone.
yeah, the Doflamingo walk.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Doflamingo.
Also, Kamimashita is right. He has left the studio.
Yeah.
It says here that he stepped down as president of the studio, but
He steps down as CEO. I'm reading the Annulus description. He would later work there as director until the completion of his latest movie, Inuo, and would later cease any affiliation with the studio.
Man,
Rip Yuasa.
Man, that's
what a
lame.
loss.
I hope whatever he's working on next is a banger.
I'm sure it will be.
Damn, I did
But
not know
it's
that.
still nice to know that Science Saru is still putting out hits like this, even in his absence. You know, that it's more than just a single person.
Yeah, Science Saru is one of the top tier studios right now.
I mean, they have
'Cause
Naoko Yamada.
everything-
So
Yeah, everything they put out, even if if it's something like the Scott Pilgrim anime where the writing just happened to be poor, at least you know the visuals are always gonna bang.
Definitely. I
Yeah,
think
this anime. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry. No, you can
Sorry.
go.
All right, this anime is just firing on all cylinders at all times, and I love it for that. And more productions need to be like that. I'm tired of half-baked productions that don't have enough staff and time. You know, this feels, hopefully it doesn't fall apart later. I'm fingers
Don't
crossed.
even say that.
I don't want to jinx it, but thus far, it has I have confidence in the production and the direction, the writing, everything is firing on all cylinders to make this specific story the best that it can be. And it is a story that is distinct and that has such a specific voice that I'm sure this is the only place where I could get a story anything remotely like this, and I am here for it.
it's definitely the first show I've watched that has the line, "I'll let you suckle my teats, so give me your weenie."
Yeah, I love how it's canon that the granny ghost, I think they call her the turbo granny, it possessed the dude and has canonically stolen his junk. He just does not have it anymore. And
Poor dude.
Yeah. I don't remember.
It's not so bad. In exchange, he kind of gets like supernatural powers.
Yeah, it's a give and take. I don't remember her doing that to Mob in Mob Psycho. But she was in Mob Psycho, am I right? Because the tunnel definitely was, and he encountered some sort of like yokai in there.
It's a famous
Can you
tunnel.
confirm?
There's a lot of tunnels.
Okay.
There's a lot of ghost tunnels in anime.
I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure she was in Mob Psycho. The same folklore character.
Were the
She didn't eat his
molesting
weenie, though.
aliens? Were the sexual assault aliens in Mob Psycho as well?
No, but I absolutely love how those aliens, like, they kept leading off all their sentences like, come on, like, we're really nice guys. Like, come on, like, we're a nice
Just
guy, you
let
know
us-
what
we
I'm
love
saying? Like,
humans.
just give us your banana.
Just
you
let
know
us
what I'm
put
saying?
you
We're
in
nice
heat
guys.
with our psychokinetic waves, and then we'll pull out our HR Geiger, and Robo Needlecocks, and then
Then
Just let us
that's,
reproduce, bro.
That's one thing I really wanted to
no
ask
biggie.
everyone about that scene, because that's basically the one kind of criticism I've seen brought up, how people really didn't like how they were maybe using rape as like a joke or like a comedic moment.
for what?
Mm.
Well,
What does everyone else think?
I
don't
I
think
hesitate to
it's a
call it
joke.
bad because
No, yeah,
A,
I mean,
nothing ever ended up happening,
Mhm.
and B, they got their shit pushed in anyway.
Yeah.
I guess I would only go so far as to say I wish she was more clothed in that scene, because the fact that she is basically bare bra and underwear I mean, the scene is supposed to, be disconcerting and make you uncomfortable, but I'm a
Well,
bit queasy
let's
about
be
that
real.
stuff
The fact that they
specifically.
kept her in her underwear was because that they couldn't have her naked. Even though realistically, she probably would have
Yeah.
been
True.
if this weren't targeted for like a teenage audience.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's interesting though because I definitely wouldn't say it was played purely for a joke, especially because of the fact that both of the main characters encountered different similar situations. It's definitely like very thematically important to the story. It seems like a little bit of a coming of age style thing with a lot of sexual themes to it. And obviously that doesn't exempt it from having poor depictions of that. But I think it is definitely important to the grander thematic narrative as well.
I think it was all worth it just for the little ending bit where Momo gets embarrassed by Ken being like, "No, seriously, yeah, please put on my clothes. I can't like look you
That
in the
was
eye when
really
you're
cute.
just like that." Because it's sweet. Like she's wearing his school coat to try to cover herself up, and she's like, "No, bro, I'm fine. Let's go get you to the cave together. We'll beat up the granny ghost, and we'll get you your weenie back."
Dude, what I love
Oh,
is
yeah.
that like he offers her the clothes and then she's like, "No, no, hold on. We're in this together. You have the clothes." But he still doesn't feel like, taking them. He doesn't want to be fully clothed while she's just in her bra and panties. So he just takes the clothes and then starts walking along with her in his underwear. And I'm like, that's so sweet. I love him.
And then when they're walking, it's like, yeah, he says a line from Ken Takakura, which is a real person who is Momo's celebrity crush, and that's the one thing that she looks for in a guy. That's her number one criteria, that they're as similar to Ken Takakura as possible. Basically like the male equivalent would be like a Sydney Sweeney, or a female Western equivalent would be like I don't know, like a Chris Hemsworth, or who's another handsome Hollywood guy right now that women are crushing on.
I'm old. Dude,
Timothy
you can't-
Chalamet.
yeah, there you go.
And so he says a line from Ken Takakura work, and then she's like, "Oh, okay, that was a weird coincidence. My heart's beating, but it's just because he said a line from the guy that I like. Hey, what's your real name, by the way? Oh, my name is Ken Takakura." And when they just happen to share the same name, which is a pretty common thing in Japan, because a lot of family names and whatnot are, I don't think, as diverse as something like America is. But then that realization then like is what triggers the, oh, I like this guy inside Momo as the UFO explodes behind her and
Dude,
she gets
I
stars in her
really
eyes.
loved that because you see the sparks in the background as it's building up to it, and I'm like, oh, this is like they're gonna like punctuate a really impactful moment with this, aren't they?
That's when I
And it was
realized, oh, this is a
so
love
good.
story.
And it's so good.
And when
You
was the last
guys,
time we
this
had
is
a
peak.
shonen story that had the two main characters on equal footing, and also being about the romance?
Oh man.
I mean, to be fair, I don't watch that much shonen, but this is good.
Absolutely. Production is
Yeah,
firing on all cylinders for sure. In like every way, the presentation is superb. Like the character animation, the action animation, the colors, the character design, like literally everything about it, the background art, the way they do the lighting with like the flashlights and the phone flashlight. Like literally everything about every scene is beautiful. The directing.
The way they get you invested in the relationship between Ken and Momo by when Ken travels through the phone somehow to save her from the aliens, and then proclaims that he would like literally die for her just because she was the first person to show her kindness. Because the whole reason he believes in aliens is because no one would ever want to be his friend. So he thought, okay, well, if humans don't want to be my friend, then what if aliens were real and they'd be my friends, because they're kind of outcast weirdos like I am. And he tried to contact them a bunch, but they never responded, and he got bullied more for that. And Momo was the first person to ever stand up for him when he was being bullied by kids. And so she was just like, yeah, no, don't you dare lay a hand on her. And then Momo, he's like, kind of takes the kindness to that, and then calls for Ken to like step up and be a man to fight for her. And it's like, oh, it's sweet because you see they're bringing out the best in each other.
Yeah, and it's not even just that she's watching the fight, but that eventually, he gets, smashed into a wall and she unlocks her fucking psychic abilities that she apparently has. Because, she's been resisting their, the alien mind controlled psychic waves this entire time, and they're like surprised by that. As it turns out, no, she is just straight up psychic. She has her own crazy power.
I think the
Yeah,
important
I
part
think
she
the way
isn't
they-
a bystander to the fight.
I think the way they described it is that the training that her grandma made her do when she was younger was actually like helping to unlock her latent abilities, and then the aliens trying to mess with her waves helped bring it to the surface.
Yeah, that sounds right.
And I think the important part of that scene is that despite him coming through the phone and like seemingly look like he's gonna save her, it's her who ends up being the one to save herself, and then they together as a team get out of the situation together.
Basically, what you're saying is she ain't no Orihime.
Urasaki-kun.
I also appreciate how they're keeping the transformation and the reveal of the of Ken's like alternate form for another episode and not just blowing their load after the first.
Yeah, this episode just does so much in such a short amount of time. Like, I am immediately hooked, and I'm definitely keeping up with it. I mean, we kind of have to because of the podcast.
Yeah, it is going to be on the podcast,
but I would have
no matter
been
what.
anyway. Like, I am very happy about this being on the podcast.
I'm just really happy that there's like more like horror-ish shows, because I think that's a really like underutilized genre. I mean, obviously we have like Uzumaki this season, but other than that, I've only ever seen like one random episode of like Flip Flappers that does horror really well. So I'm looking forward to the kind of uneasy atmosphere.
I mean, I wouldn't
That
call
episode
this
did do it
scary
well.
in the slightest.
I mean,
The imagery,
they
though,
got
is,
sharp penises.
The-
That's scary to you?
Well, the imagery is scary, but it's what they're doing makes it not. Literally, the first thing the scary ghost granny says is, "I'll let you suck my grandma
Well,
tits." If you
And
let
then
me
she does, and
gobble
she
up that
takes his
weenie."
penis. That's scary as hell.
I don't want that.
I mean,
to
I
happen.
guess if it happened to me in real life, I'd find it scary. But as an outside observer, when
I mean, I don't
These
know
two
about you,
characters
but if
are
I
doing
woke
all
up
that.
one morning, changed my underwear, oh my god, my ween is gone. Yeah, I mean, I'd be pretty scared.
I'm
just saying, as an outside observer,
I'd piss myself if I could.
as
Yeah.
I think they'll wrap it up.
How does he go to the
I'm looking forward to
bathroom?
it.
I think
What happens to the water that he drinks?
That is true. I mean, I would imagine.
Is it just a hole now?
Yeah, that's what I would think. Like, it's not quite the other part, but it's just kind
Or
of
does,
like there's.
or does
still
it
like
work
a
on?
place.
What if there's
Does it
no
work on
hole?
Ranma 1/2 logic where it's all just smooth? There's
Yeah.
like nothing there.
I didn't actually know that.
And then he just like blows up eventually.
What I was gonna say is I made like I've seen a lot of horror anime. Like I've gone out of my way to try to see as many horror anime as possible. Like one of my first videos on my channel was a tier list of like a bunch of different shows. It is exceedingly rare that anything with this kind of imagery that I find so appealing has anywhere near this level of production. So I very much resonate with enjoying the fact that it is sort of at least horror adjacent. The only other thing I can think of recently is kind of Heavenly Delusion a bit, and I really liked Heavenly
Yeah,
Delusion.
I would
so.
consider that more of a horror anime than Dandadan.
I probably would too, but
Uzumaki
Yeah,
had a
and
shot.
the first season of Promise Neverland.
yeah. But even that I don't think I liked quite as much as either of the more recent shows.
Yeah, well, moral of the story: go watch Dandadan if you haven't already. It's I think it's gonna be a good one. If every episode is as good as this one, this is a strong Anime of the Year contender. Assuming is it going to finish this year, or do we know how many episodes it's gonna be? Okay, yeah, no, 12 episodes. It will finish this year, barring any horrible unforeseen delays. which are becoming
100.
sadly more and more common.
Absolutely.
We can only pray for the best.
Yeah, this is one of the big anime that got leaked in the big leak in the summer last season a couple months ago, alongside Ranma One Half, the remake by Mappa, based on Rumiko Takahashi's other rom-com classic, and this is the second of those to get a remake in the past couple years.
It is very similar in style to the Urusei Yatsura remake, and I am
except
down for it.
Except this one's based on a good property.
Whoa.
Kill yourself.
I was not a fan of Urusei Yatsura.
I would say
Well,
a better
I
property.
was. Yeah, and I was also a fan of this one based on the first episode. The thing is, I was down with watching Urusei Yatsura 2022, and I still need to watch the second half of it. I feel like with this one, I want to
And the
watch
second
the
season.
original. Second season.
You know, Urusei Yatsura, the remake, got a second season, right?
I thought it was like the second half instead of the second season, but
No,
I
it
get
was a
that
whole
so
second
confused.
season, bruh.
I was gonna,
Yeah,
I was
'cause
gonna say,
these-
did you even finish the first?
Oh, I
season
finished the first
of-
season. Yeah, I did.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, this one's looking like another good one, even if I'm probably just gonna watch the original instead.
I mean, visually, this show looks awesome. It looks perfect, exactly how I would want it to look. I like how the background art is like really beautiful and detailed, but I don't know if this is the right word, but it has somewhat of like a hazy quality to it, to where it doesn't take away from what's going on in the foreground. The color design is awesome. There are like crazy bits of animation, like when Ranma's fighting the panda dad. I think that was like just awesome, and the voice acting performances in this one especially stood out to me as like incredible.
I love Girl
I like
Ranma so much.
I like the girl with short hair.
Look, all I'm saying is that hot spring needs to be real and in my backyard.
But like, which one though?
The one that turns you into a panda, obviously. What the fuck do you think I am?
I'm pretty sure all hot springs would turn that guy into a panda.
I mean, he was very panda-like
okay.
already.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
Sure, being a panda suits him better, honestly. So yeah.
Just like being a girl suits Ranma better.
True. True.
Ah.
It suits it better for Akane.
Yes.
Yeah, so Ranma, or not Ranma, Akane. Akane is based. You see, she hates men. She just wants them all to die. Not literally, but she sees a man on the street, just immediately domestic violences his ass. Half of this is just fan fiction I'm making up, but she does in fact hate men. And so
She was the original femcel.
Yeah, I can't believe Akane invented being a femcel. Yeah, she invented hating men. She's a real one for that. And so, this guy Ranma comes over to the dojo to train with them. Turns out this guy is actually a girl. He's like, oh my god, wow, this is so perfect. I don't have to live with, some shitty man. Wrong man jump scare when she walks into the bath that he's taking. Whenever he gets hit with, it's hot water, I think turns him into a guy. Cold water turns him into a her. Also, yep. I love the scene when she walks in on him in the bath. And the reason why is because, okay, so normally, the trope is, they say, Kya, because they got either walked in on someone, just immediately screams. No, Akane built different. She, makes the decision, just completely silent, no emotion on her face, just walks out of the bathroom, just, stands with her back to the door, and then just actively chooses to do the Kya. Just does it anyway.
He runs out to grab a giant boulder to try to drown him with.
I remember that.
Domestic violence is based, actually. No, I'd let her bash my skull in.
Absolutely. I really wish more women like that existed, actually. that just hated men and just actively tried to
Murder them?
destroy every man they come across. Like, that would be beneficial for me.
Damn, and y'all still can't pull. y'all want the bare minimum, like bottom of the barrel, and y'all still can't pull, bitches.
Messed up.
Oh, shut up. Someday I'll find myself a bottom of the barrel girl to settle down with.
A bottom of the bagel.
In a barrel.
Yeah, anyways, Mappa in my opinion, Mappa's done a great job bringing this into
I forgot this was from Mappa.
Yeah, our anime overlords. Everything that is anime comes from Mappa now.
Yeah, even shit that I don't expect.
Because who did the Urusei Yatsura remake again? That was David Production.
That was
right?
David Pro.
Yeah, and
it is
granted
Mappa. I thought it was David Pro again for some reason.
When I've heard about it, I did think it was going to be David Pro again because it makes the most logical sense. But no, Mappa had to get their grubby little mitts on yet another IP because they'll never be satisfied until they have them all. Until every anime every season is made by Mappa.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I have much to say about this show overall other than it's good. It's funny. I love the character interactions. Akane and Ranma's dynamic is immediately endearing. Oh yeah.
All I'm saying is that if you look like if you're listening to this and you look like the short-haired sister girl from Ranma 1/2, please call me.
That is also what I'm saying.
I mean, the appeal of the show for me is just that it's Urusei Yatsura without Ataru.
Well, it's Urusei Yatsura but everyone's not a mean-spirited asshole to each other.
But still idiots.
Shut up. That's why Urusei Yatsura is funny. But also
it's just mean.
I liked it well enough, but
I have no one to root for. At least in a show like Konosuba where everyone's an asshole, they all actually like each other at the end of the day.
Well, this isn't an Urusei Yatsura discussion. We can relitigate this some other time.
Yeah, there's an actual interesting character dynamic between Ranma and Akane. Ranma is clearly the better martial artist between the two, and Akane at first was like, "Okay, yeah, you're good, but at least you weren't a boy. I'd fucking kill myself if a boy was better than me than martial arts." But then now that she knows that he can go back and forth, and he was originally a boy, then she's now in like I can imagine she's gonna be put into I fucking hate you. I can't believe you are better at me than the one thing I said you shouldn't be better at me at then. But maybe they'll form a bond over it.
What I'm really wondering is if Ranma considers himself a dude. I mean, I think he does because he said he was going to try to like find a way to convert himself back.
Yeah, he wants to break the curse because he doesn't want to be a girl.
But you know, I think there could be some interesting things there of like, you know, what if he's unable to do it and he like sort of embraces that side of him, and I don't know. There's some stuff there.
Something tells me that won't happen. Especially because
if you know the structure of the original, it's a thing of, you know, it's designed to go on for as long as possible to get, you know, as many wacky rom-com antics out of it as they possibly can.
Yeah, from what I've been told, there's a lot of development in the beginning and then none for like 90% of the show.
Like romantic development?
We'll see how the remake might tackle it.
I mean, I know it's going to be heavily abridged, so I'm sure it's just going to be all the plot relevant episodes plus a few slice of life stories here and there.
Even in the rom-com, the Mappa cooks with their fight animations. The choreography in the fights between Ranma and his/her father as the panda went pretty hard.
Yeah, just everything about the show is good. Well, what can I say? It's Ranma, again, with good visuals. I'm probably still gonna watch the original, but you know, I would not complain about watching this version. This is absolutely a good rendition of it. And
Oh, sorry.
That gets Crunchy Bagel's thumbs up.
Yeah, this also gets my thumbs up. This is one of the 3 or 4 shows of this block that I will definitely be continuing.
However, can you say the same about 365 days to the wedding?
Shout out to both of these main characters for having autism.
That's exactly. I wrote in my notes, this show is just Autism Simulator.
It's just I kind of want to point and laugh at oh look, our 2 main characters are autistic, so naturally they're bound to be soulmates.
I like how
They're bonding over their mutual autism.
I like how literally less than like 10 seconds into the first episode, we're just hearing an inner monologue of this guy being like, "Oh my god, I always hesitate. I'm so stupid. I just always let the moment pass, and then the moment's passing."
As soon as I heard that, I also wrote down in my notes like, "Oh, this bro's got like the megatism."
Yeah, so it was like at first I was like, "Okay, whoa." It almost feels like the show's like
specifically the description of how he can't keep up with conversations on the same level of as other people. That was like, damn. Just like
he called him so slow.
I'm not gonna lie, I really like this show, except I'm gonna be continuing it as a manga because the production values are utterly riskless.
That's fair enough.
Yeah.
I
do like the premise of 2 people, even regardless of their lack of social skills. I do like the premise of 2 office workers who are like, hey, so yeah, the whole point of the show is that they're both working at a travel agency and they're opening up a new bridge in fucking Anchorage, Alaska, and someone has to step up and be the manager there and move and live there. And by the way, this show is anti-cold weather propaganda, which I wholeheartedly approve of, because the entire conceit is to avoid going to the cold place.
I mean, that and also just having your entire life uprooted just on a whim by your just by your company, which is kind of shit. It's not very good. And they're specifically prioritizing people who are single, unmarried, right? Who aren't planning on starting a family anytime soon. And so, my gal Hanjoji is just like, hey, yo, bro, we can get married and just, not have to worry about that. Just fake a marriage that will definitely not be real by the end of the show. No way. Never gonna happen. It's not already... Us falling in love definitely isn't already in the process of happening by the end of the first episode. No siree.
Crunchy, if you read the manga for this show, you have to let me know how committed to the bit they get, because that is the best way I can imagine this show being good. Of like the 2 of them going to, and because it's Hanjoji, the girl who her autism is that she is not much of a conversationalist, and she like stares at people without even realizing it, and she's got the map autism. She just loves looking at maps for some
So
reason.
random.
Oh god,
just loves them.
I love that so much because we've seen lots of deadpan characters in anime. We've seen lots of deadpan characters who have resting bitch face in anime, but never have I seen one of those characters who just loves maps for some reason. She just likes maps. She just wants to stare at maps all day. Dream girl. Actually dream girl.
So
she is my wife.
I imagine, like, because she's the one coming up with the whole plan in the first place, and how she's the one coming up with all the different ideas of convincing all her co-workers that they are in a marriage or like going to be married. And I want to see how committed to the bit they get. Like, they're coming up on like day 100 until the opening of the Alaska office, and she just pulls Ohara to one side. It's like, bro, they're starting to catch on. Ohara, you have to get me pregnant. There's no other way.
Okay, it's not a dojin. Okay.
I don't want to go.
way-
I don't want to move. Think of your cat, Ohara. You have to get me pregnant.
See, that's the one thing. This guy, he's like, oh my god, I can't move. I have a cat. I have to take care of my cat. Cats can go on airplanes, right? Like, I'm not crazy. Like, he can just bring the cat to Alaska. What's
I think
What's wrong
that's
with that?
just his excuse for
I
not
know.
wanting to
I
go
think he's seriously.
uproot his
It's for
life.
the cat, dude.
Yeah, it seems pretty genuine to me.
She has maps.
How many?
He has
are,
cat.
Are cats?
I had the
are cats-
opposite reaction because
Are
he's
cats
like,
native to Alaska? Can they thrive there?
I don't know. Perhaps
It's
not.
like,
Well, see,
Maybe
the
not.
impression I got, right, he like meekly raises his hand. I have a cat. I can't go. That's kind of like a child. No, I just saw it as an excuse, and Hanjoji, because of her autism, I guess, just believes this excuse, and he, being shy, like, just doesn't clarify at all. I don't think
I don't know.
he.
I kind of bought that. Like he tried to pass it off as like a legitimate thing, but he instantly got shut down because cat's not family, dummy.
Which is
I mean, to
so
me,
wrong.
it was just his excuse to not go, but whatever. It's not that big of a deal at the end of the day.
I mean, either way, cat or not, I don't want to go to fucking Anchorage. You kidding me? And live there?
Do you know they sent Pitbull there?
the guy?
Yeah, no, they did like a an online poll of where he should do a concert, and they like trolled him by sending him to Anchorage
Oh, I remember
in
that.
like a Walmart.
That's actually where my grandma moved.
Yeah, Anchorage is
I'm
very
glad
pretty actually.
I respect his commitment to the bit.
Yeah, I mean he just had a little
Just
vacation.
like Honjoji has to commit Ohara to the bit and has to get her pregnant.
yeah. Okay, I'll be looking out for that now.
By the way, this manga is finished. So you can it's not ongoing. You're going to have an ending if you read it. And that's exciting.
How many
to me.
volumes?
It's 11. 11 volumes,
Oh.
110 chapters.
That's like standard length.
I mean it's
Yeah,
probably
so it
all
doesn't even go on
365
forever.
days. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a story that doesn't go on forever, that has, it seems like it's going to be reasonably well paced, based on the volume and chapter count. I think it's going to be a good one. I think it's the kind of story that you can chill out to, at the end of the day after work. It's not going to be too challenging to read, it's not going to be, maybe it's not going to be deep, although I could also see it going in the direction of being more emotionally resonant. Especially near the end with that scene in the Ferris wheel. Everyone knew as soon as you saw that scene, they're gonna be back in that fucking Ferris wheel again, and he's gonna say the line again. And that's gonna be the best scene ever when it happens, depending on how they play their cards. So
I'm curious.
that's gonna be peak. I enjoyed it. I really did.
It wasn't bad. It was just kind of the anime made it. It's a basic and unspecial, low key, kind of boring production.
I was just gonna ask
Yeah.
about that. That's exactly how I feel. I like the one shot where it introduces what's her name, Hanjoji's room, and it's like shot from a bird's eye view, and it emphasizes everything as being like very geometric and orderly. And I thought that was like a neat, subtle way to kind of characterize her through the way it showed her house. But other than that, nothing stuck out to me. And I
mean,
did
my
kinda clock it
favorite
as a bit
shot
boring.
from the episode is when
she's
the
hunched
surprise...
over and playing with the erasers on the map.
Well, that too. I loved that. But also, when they see the surprise party and the camera pans down to show both of their faces, just an abject horror. Oh, she told everyone. This bitch told everyone to give us this party. I also love how her
After she
idea of
explicitly
becoming
said not to.
Oh, I knew exactly what was going to happen when, she says like, oh, don't be too loud about it. And this bitch just immediately starts talking very loudly. Oh my God, I could have never expected it. Wow. I'm so happy for you two. Just keep, as someone else walks into the room, I know she was blabbing to that girl as soon as they were out of sight. And I love how her idea of getting energized is to just get really shit-faced and then still barely be energized at all. She sings in like the most she sounds like she's dozing off mid-song and she's slurring every word. I loved that. I also love just how pathetic the main characters are. Like, okay, Hanjoji goes on this date by herself while pretending that the guy is with her. Ohara, I'm pretty sure his name is.
Yeah.
He's just and she can't even remember his face. So she's just imagining like this soulless puppet next to her as she goes on this date, and I'm like, this is the saddest thing I've ever seen. I also love it. This is like this is funny, but also she knows it's pathetic. Like it's clear that both characters are in the headspace of I need to change, like I need to better myself and become more socially outgoing. And I think this is going to be the type of show where they both gradually build each other up and help each other develop as people, and through that learn like, oh, we have really good chemistry, we relate to each other in a lot of ways. No, we're just like each other for real. I'm just gonna say it. I think this is gonna be a good manga, not a good anime, but a good manga. It's also by the same guy who made World God Only Knows. And what was the other thing the guy did?
Oh, interesting.
World
People like
God
that.
Only Knows, and then it was... Oh, he did the characters design. Yeah, he made 16-bit Sensation.
Interesting.
So this guy does have a back catalog of... I mean, I haven't seen World God Only Knows, but people like it, apparently.
It got multiple seasons.
Yeah, it's got quite a few of them, actually. Actually, is that another season? Yep, I think it's 3?
Well, you'll have to let me know how that manga is, because I will not be continuing the anime.
Yeah, me neither.
Well, I'll watch it. It's cute. Come on.
You can just get the
Dandadan's
better
got my
version
romance
on the
fix.
manga.
They're also like they're adults. It's a workplace. A little bit of a breath of fresh air.
I do like that about it.
I just don't see why I would go anime specifically.
Yeah,
Like
you know,
manga.
fair enough.
It's gonna be better.
Yeah, the manga is just gonna be better.
I feel like I wouldn't hate continuing it. I just have too much other stuff to watch. This is like one of the shows that I was referring to earlier in agreement with Crunchy, where it's like the median show of this block of shows from the season is very, very solid, but there were only a few that really stuck out to me as something that I feel I need to continue.
This kind of stuck out to me. I just wish it had less Rizless production values, more Rizful production values.
More soul, less soulless.
Exactly. Yeah. However, is Loner Life in Another World soulless?
No.
I watched 5 minutes of it.
No, it's
before I left.
Wait, is this not the one we were talking about?
The
good one?
In this one, there's only one that I watched the whole way through, and this was not it.
So
I made it 5 minutes. The main character is reading Are Foreta. That's all I needed to see.
I was literally just gonna say that. I actually did. Yeah, I dropped this after one scene. Looking at my notes, yeah, it was the first scene is supposed to be like this action showcase of the guy stepping on a twig and then goblins chasing him. But the way this scene is directed is so brazenly incompetent. Like there are action lines everywhere. There's no sense of like tension. There's no sense of the distance closing. In the middle of the chase scene, there's just a bird's eye shot of the goblins all slowly jumping over a hedge. And then they fall into a hole, and he's like, "Well, I'm glad I dug that hole." And it was just, it was hard to look at. And then it went to a school scene, and I'm like, "Oh God, that was this show's showcase of like the hype things to come. Like that was the show putting its best foot forward. I do not want to see its other feet." You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm out of things to talk about already.
I've got no notes.
and I dipped. You're like,
I didn't
is
watch
that the
this
kind
one.
of show you're gonna guess? Like, all right, I know where your priorities lie.
I did, just in the 1 in a million chance I'd see something interesting. I started skipping through the episode. I skipped to a random part in the episode to see if anything happens, and I skipped onto a moment where the main character was saying something almost word for word. Oh dang, I have to get super OP. And then I just I turned it off.
Yeah.
He actually said he's gonna make himself OP.
Oh, you watched it all the way through?
Actually, yeah, I watched it. I thought we were supposed to.
No,
I watched
yes.
almost everything. There were only like
No,
3 that I didn't watch all
in the
way.
guidelines. Did you not check the pins in the guidelines?
Who reads? It's okay.
Yeah,
I'll watch
who
Loner
reads? Not
Life
us.
in Another World. No, it's really-
Number 4. Don't feel obligated to finish an entire episode if the show is boring or you think it sucks.
I mean,
You poor
it's
thing.
standard, wish fulfillment isekai. He gets like basically his whole classroom gets transported into another world, but his classmates get there first because he like escapes into the ceiling. So then they take all the OP skills for themselves, and he's stuck with
Oh
whatever
my
is left
God.
over. But whatever is left over is actually like super OP because of course it is. So
Wow, how original.
yeah.
I've seen
the
like
production was just
17 shows
killer.
with that same premise.
Like I don't know how these shows justify the cost it takes to make them. People spend time
Yeah.
on this.
though
How do they
wasn't
even
much.
make any returns back?
I mean, they
people
have
like
to make
isekai.
so many of them.
I think it's based off
You would
of
think,
a
but that I
Shosetsuka novel.
I never like hear about after the season that they're in. I never, unless they're like one of the big ones, I never hear about them again.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess maybe it's a Japanese consumer base thing.
It's got to be like whales or cows who are just like eating that shit up. And
I mean, they have some
say
bad
more,
taste sometimes.
more
Yeah.
slop for the feeder, please.
Absolutely.
Just like I'll become a villainess who goes down in history. I made
Okay.
it 2 minutes into this show.
Okay, no, wait. I really liked this one. Just kidding. I thought it was boring. I didn't finish it.
All right, let me recount my word for word note for the synopsis here. They're not even trying anymore. Like literally the main character's like, everyone loves the heroine of my otome game, but honestly, if I could be reborn as anyone, I'd rather be reborn as the villainess. Oh my god, I got reborn as the villainess. I'm gonna become a villainess who goes down in history. I turned the show off immediately. We're already name dropping your shitty ass title. Fuck off.
There was one scene later where she's training to wield a sword, and she needs to do 50 push-ups and 100 sit-ups a day on like a bootleg One Punch Man workout regiment. And there's this little like chibi version of herself which counts her push-ups in the corner, and it's pretty adorable. That is one thing I noted, and it comes back later in the episode. I almost finished this episode.
This
But
one's
that's all
not
that
that
stuck out to me.
bad. Like, did you guys watch Hamefura like a couple seasons ago?
No.
Similar.
Yes.
Was that another one with Villainess in the title?
Yeah, My Next Life is Villainous.
Yes. I did not watch it though.
I don't
Oh,
even
that-
know
that-
what
that
show
was
you're
the one-
talking about because all these shows' titles blend together so much.
They do.
Actually, wasn't that the one that was like a couple years ago? It got a second season recently, but that's the one with like the death flags and whatnot.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. That the second season was like this year, but it came out like a few years ago.
It wasn't that bad. I was
Oh.
hoping for something similar to it.
This is
All these villainous shows are the same.
I'm looking at the next 2 shows and I thought they were the same show. This is bad.
I made it like 8 minutes into Goodbye Dragon Life before I was like, yeah, this is boring and unoriginal and just like all the other isekai, and I quit.
Lamia Girl was cute.
I did notice
She didn't make it to
open-
Lemmy Girl.
opening. I did not
Oh.
make it to
Which is a
Lamia Girl
shame.
in
That's
the
what you
show, but I saw her in the opening. I was like, oh, that's a cute design, and I see that they've got her side boob on full display in the opening.
Yeah.
They got more
but
than
it's,
They're in the show.
It's like
Oh yeah,
I
I'll never
mean,
know.
I think I actually did
They
finish
don't
this
care to.
episode.
This one I
Um,
thought was pleasantly surprising. Actually, I didn't hate my time with it.
Now that I'm looking, I did write this is the best of the isekai, which is not saying much, but I did finish it. So there was that. It was like there was nothing about the visual presentation I particularly loved. There was nothing about the main guy I particularly loved. I thought it was an interesting concept to where he was like formerly a dragon, but I can't really tell if they're going to do anything interesting with that yet. It's very
They're
hard
not.
to say. Yeah. No, well, yeah.
They're not going to.
Okay. All right. You know.
Well, like what I liked about it is that they weren't going for this like kind of big overarching like I'm now gonna defeat the Demon King kind of thing with it. He's just like a dude living in a village. He decides to go out and check to see why the lizard people haven't been talking to them recently. Like he is OP, but there's no indication that he's gonna do that to go on some big adventure. You know, he's just gonna like live life, and like I you know that appeals to me somewhat.
I guess that's true, but I feel like that trope of like, hey, we're gonna go on a grand quest and defeat the Demon King. I feel like I've seen it subverted like 300 times now, to where it's like,
Now
I
you
don't,
need that subverted. You've
yeah,
got tolerant.
yeah, it's not enough for me.
The way you
anymore.
subvert that is that you just have to play it straight.
Yeah.
Like Freeman.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Well, they subverted it by having it already
Good.
happen, and then we're seeing the life like afterward.
Right.
Yeah. So Goodbye Dragon Life. Did not care for it. Now this next one, I did actually watch the entire episode of, not because it's
Why?
good, but because it at least had well, for one thing, it's edgy as fuck, which I got a kick out of.
Okay.
And second of all, it at the very least, like compared to especially these last three shows, it at least had like a premise and a concept that it's actually keen to clue us in on. So the most notorious talker runs the world's greatest clan is very edgy. It's one of those native isekais. The main guy who I thought was a girl because his name is Noel and
Yep.
he sounds like a girl,
And
looks like a girl.
Yeah.
I was kind of looking forward to seeing edgy leather coat wearing, gun toting, isekai protagonist, but nope, we can't alienate the audience by allowing them to identify with someone of the opposite gender. So his grandfather or father, I don't know, grandfather, was one of the strongest warriors in the world. He is so strong, he was nicknamed Overdeath, which got me to laugh really hard. Because his fucking name is Overdeath.
Not just death.
Which sounds like something an edgy kid like playing World of Warcraft in the 2000s would name his character. And so in this world, monsters come from what is essentially hell, the void, in these little pockets. It's almost kind of exactly like the thing from Shield Hero where waves will spawn in of monsters from other worlds and you just have to fight them off. And it's literally that. The way this are attacking, people are dying bloodily and gorily. Which also caught my interest, if only because, like, oh my god, people actually getting, like, bloodily cut down on screen. The things are actually happening in the show. Yeah, so they attack the main character's town. Mr. Overdeath is like, wait here, my daughter's son. I will be right back. I will fight off these demons. And he does, but they claim his life in the end, too. And so Noel decides to avenge him by becoming the strongest demon fighter in the whole world. But unfortunately, he has the worst class imaginable. He's part of the Talker class, which is a support class that they have like basically no offensive ability. They can only buff their party members by giving them spoken directions, which basically he speaks buffs into existence. And the first problem I have with this show is that how is this the worst class? He is literally the tactician or the general of the group, giving them instructions on what to do, and it helps pull his group through to success. Second of all, how can he have no combat experience when he has a gun that is clearly effective against monsters? Like he's not even weak. Like the show wants you to believe that he's weak, but he is giving his team key buffs. He's calling the plays, and he's able to fight.
Well,
I mean,
in the context of the show, the show has stated that the only reason why he's like his team is so good and reliant on him is because they all kind of suck. Like if they had like better, like, like fighter class and wizard class or whatever, then he would be less useful. But that doesn't make sense, because he would just be more. I don't know, dude.
I
It's an
feel
isekai
like
show.
having a good tactician on a team, even if I mean that's kind of what like generals are. Like generals aren't supposed to see combat; they're supposed to stay behind enemy lines and you always stay away from the action and call all of like the important maneuvers and direct the armies and the teams in order into victory.
He's
That's
like
the-
Erwin from Attack on Titan.
The funny
Just
part
like
about
that.
everything that Neon is saying is that in Log Horizon, Shiroe is literally that class, like it does exactly that, and is also like one of the strongest players in the entire game. So because
Yeah, so
he
the
just
entire
directs
premise of
so
him
well.
supposed to be weak is it makes no sense. It doesn't even they destroyed the whole premise of the show in the first episode.
This was I finished I finished an episode of every single show on this block except for 3. This was the third and final one I did not finish. The second I found out it was a dude, I dropped it. I'm not even kidding. Like I was like, whoa, that's kind of interesting. Oh, and I saw the design. It was like the edgy black hair, almost like bootleg.
If it were a
Lelouch.
girl, it'd be a cool design. And
Yeah.
but now that but it's because it's a guy, it's like, oh, it's just a weirdly androgynous dude.
Yeah, so,
I dead ass thought for a minute they were gonna make him trans and maybe like incorporate that into
Right?
part of the story, but no, it's not. They don't even do that. He's just a dude who looks like a girl.
he's not even that cute either. I've seen better dudes who look like girls as isekai protagonists. So.
There's a oh, I was gonna say there's a show on this list of dudes that look like girls, but then I found out it was the other way around.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, the show's not good. It's the best of the shitty isekai on this block, or the native isekai. And I guess if you wanted,
I like
something
Dragon
to
Life
hate
more.
watch,
Yeah, Dragon's better. Dragon looks better.
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, I guess if you wanted something to hate watch, this could be a good hate watch show.
Like this one,
to
I like
make
at
fun
the very
of.
least its focus on kind of like a more support role, right? Like kind of bringing to light how important strategy is.
They do tick the box at the very end of the guy gets betrayed by his party at the end.
Gotta have a reason to watch the next episode.
Yes.
We got to hit all the edgy isekai boxes. But now we move on to Crunchy's Black Panther, his anime of the year. If my wife becomes an elementary school student.
It was
Look,
pretty good, right?
it's not easy being Peak. I mean, listen, it's not easy being Peak. Really,
I thought it was good.
it's not easy being Peak. I mean, think about the position this show is in. Peak.
It's
You need
peak,
to work
and
your
it's
way
not
up
easy.
It's not it's not that simple. The voice crack. It's just sometimes you've got to make sacrifices in life. And that's why it's
like
not
your
easy being
self-respect
Peak.
and your dignity to tell your friends, hey, there's this cool anime you should check out called If My Wife Becomes an Elementary School Student. Hey, why are you dialing 911?
This show fucking sucks.
The crazy
It's
thing
so
is,
bad.
I don't even think it sucks. I just can't like justify myself watching more of it. Cause
No, it sucks. It really
It's
does.
sad.
It's one of the worst
Oh,
shows on
okay.
the block.
I was pleasantly surprised.
that's a bit cap.
Okay.
The,
To be fair,
okay, the
I did
worst
not
part-
watch the
hold
isekai.
on, no. Hold on. The worst part about that's fair. But I was gonna say the worst part about trying to play devil's advocate for this show in the slightest makes you
its
sus as
title.
fuck.
Yeah, it does. It does. I thought it was gonna be like a 4, and I thought it was like a 6. So I was pleasantly
it's like a
surprised with
a
what was going
six?
on.
It's
I
like
feel
a
like
5.
I feel
Nah,
like
six
it's
is
like
a
a
little too much.
3.
It's
I
like
need to see the
it's
rest
like
of
a
the list.
5.
It's like
Nah, you guys are
it's a
hating.
3,
You guys are
bro.
hating, man.
It's not
think
good
it
at all.
It has
Like,
a chance
it-
to go somewhere interesting. It's not nearly
No, it
as
doesn't.
like
Okay.
fetishistic.
Yeah,
as
he does
You
have
know
a
what,
chance to go
Rufus?
somewhere
I'm just
interesting.
saying.
Fucking child services. The police is where it's going
biggest
to
problem
go.
with this show,
This is a losing
barring
battle.
its premise, is that you know the show where it's like life was sad, but then this thing happened, and now we're a wholesome slice of life for the entire rest of the show with nowhere to go.
Yeah,
and
then this
develop.
10-year-old girl came into my life claiming to be my deceased wife, reincarnated, and now everything is just peachy keen.
The issue with this show, right, is that it literally, I don't think it will go anywhere. If someone watched all 12 episodes of this, I guarantee you it would not
What would
go
they learn?
anywhere interesting. Because
It's-
we've
what would
already
they
seen
get out of it in their life
the resolution
experiences?
to this show, essentially. The resolution is, and then the wife was alive again, but as an elementary schooler. The end.
Listen.
Wow, our life is
I mean,
fixed
okay,
now.
okay. I think that's being a little uncharitable. Like,
Yeah, I'm being uncharitable
Kami,
because this
the
show did
episode
nothing
literally
toward
might
my
as well have
charity.
ended with the clip from Smiling Friends being like of the husband being like, "I love kids, Charlie. I love kids."
I thought like, okay, it's probably not going this direction, but I thought it was interesting that when she first comes back, she's upset at the family for not having moved on, and then there's like, even though she's back in like a, oh god, well I see it as like she's back, but it's like an absolutely undateable form, but I guess the show probably doesn't see it that way. But I like that there's like a new
The dad
romantic
definitely doesn't
interest.
see it that
There's
way.
like a new wholesome romantic interest in his work life,
Also
and it
making
seems like it's a
eventual
show about
boxes.
loss and moving on. And it's like,
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe it could go somewhere interesting.
Well,
but I'm not gonna watch
Dude,
that.
that office lady is going to get cucked by a 10-year-old.
That's true. It's true. Yeah, maybe I don't know. Maybe like a. I was thinking like a light 6 to a strong 5. I didn't hate it. I really didn't hate it. But that's probably because I went in with such low
It
expectations.
wasn't as horribly trash as I thought it was going to be based on the premise. There was
Well,
some
see, the
unironically
issue
pretty
is-
sweet, pretty wholesome moments. The only issue is I can't justify myself watching it because I'm
Well, see,
watching a
I've-
10-year-old girl hanging
Scrubbed.
out with a grown-ass man who's
She's
claiming to
not-
be the wife.
she's not really 10 though. She's like
She's
40.
paleo.
See,
That's-
I've
Your
had to
Honor,
hear
she's not
people-
really 10 though.
So
Am I
ever
wrong?
since this show was announced, people have been, saying over and over again, it's not what it seems. Like the manga's actually peak. It's actually a really good and sweet story. And so I actually came into this, right, with high expectations for the script. Now, I always knew the visuals were going to be terrible as soon as I saw the poster,
Yeah.
the key visuals. I knew it was going to visually be nothing to write home about. And so I thought, okay, if this is really as good as everyone says it is, it's going to be like a, 7 out of 10 script, very poor visuals. What I got instead was an extremely poor story with even worse visuals. And the problem is that, okay, so it starts off with this, the story of, oh, we were once a happy family, and then the accident happens. And the way this is conveyed is not through flashes of personality that
Oh
will
my
clue you into what the characters are like as human beings. It's through the most generic vignettes of the most basic happy family ever.
Crunchy. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I have to get this out because the timing is too perfect. You guys know that non-linear editing meme that's been going around?
Yes.
Of
I do not.
You take like you take like a scene from a
Hilarious.
show and then
I've
take
seen
the ending
something
bit.
like that.
Yeah, you take the very end of it, like the resolution
my
of
God,
it,
it's
and
literally
then you
that.
intersplice it like throughout the scene leading up to that moment. Literally that was happening in this episode.
I feel like I really, oh god, this sounds terrible, but I want to like the show because I think depending on how you approach it, the concept is inherently interesting. I feel like only from the perspective of the actual wife though, not from the perspective of the husband.
Or from
Like-
the perspective of a pedophile, but
I feel like anyone who's thought
Husband.
about going back and like doing their life over again has thought about what it would be like if you still had your memories. And I think it's like an interesting thing to consider. But obviously I see the title of this, I see that it's an anime, and I'm like, oh well, it's not really gonna go into any of that. It's just gonna be very fetishistic and strictly like from the perspective
Dude, the
of the main
husband
guy,
is just a
but-
few wrinkles and like a more dissident tone of speaking voice away from being an ugly bastard in a hentai.
Well,
He
see,
does-
I don't
he does
even
quite
think
look
the
like one.
show is trying to be. I mean, maybe it's the author's thing. There's actually a decent chance of that, but I don't even think the show is going to get all that sexual or all that degenerate, because it is playing
don't
it
either.
very wholesome, very emotionally heart wrought. The issue is, right? I mean, okay, its portrayal of everything is generic. 10 years after the accident, and the father and the daughter are eating dinner together, rather, silently, in the dark, to show that they're still sad. It's been 10 years, goddammit. 10 years! I don't care how little they have moved on. No one would do this unless something else happened. Like, there had to be some chain of events that we need to deconstruct as to how things got so downhill that they're eating in silence in the dark. But instead, she's an elementary schooler now and everything's fixed and their life is good now. No, something else needs to have happened.
Listen,
And we're
Crunchy,
not
things haven't been the
deconstructing
same since the daughter walked in on the husband, fucking the urn containing the wife's ashes.
Oh my.
That's not a thing you can just like pretend never happened when you saw it.
The thing that gets me though is that the wife isn't even acting like a person that was like you're telling me that she found out she was reincarnated, just goes and says hi to her husband and daughter, and then leaves to go with her other family to like act as a 10-year-old for the rest of the time. It doesn't make any sense.
It was very weirdly set up. Like, God, like, they don't even ask, like, oh, well, why are you leaving? Like, what's your family like? They don't ask any questions. I guess it happens off screen, but it just feels.
I mean, I imagine we
truncated.
would find more out about her
Yeah.
other family home life.
But they
as the
aren't
show
that
goes
curious
on.
about it. They never ask about it.
And they're just happy.
Like,
I mean,
my first question was, wait, so you're living with other people? Like, what are they like? What's going on with you? Like, yeah, what's all going on? Could you stay with us, maybe?
There's no way this actually happens, but how fucked up would it be if this 10-year-old girl was actually like the most insane sociopathic stalker of all time and just wanted to fuck with this one guy and assume the personality and like the identity of his wife?
I
That
think
would
you
make
got
for
it,
a way better show.
That would
You
be a
landed
better
it.
show. I will say.
I wonder if I can turn this guy into a pedophile.
It seems like he's already more than halfway there, but
He's a
yeah,
little
no,
more than
I mean,
half.
I won't really go very hard to defend the show. It seems like I liked it the most, but I think that might just be because I'm the least jaded, so I disliked it the least, because I think I've probably seen by far the least anime here.
I'm the least jaded.
Like, I feel like I thought that it still had a possibility to go somewhere interesting, even if the first episode didn't really do well by that. But you know what?
That
I'm willing to say I
possibility
was
is
probably
1%.
wrong.
I think I would have liked this premise more if they both died and they both like then like they
If it was Oshinoko.
Yeah, I was about to say that would just be Oshinoko.
well
That
no
would be
no
better,
but then
though.
but then
Be
it
less
turns out
weird.
that as they're growing up they grow up as separate families, but then they meet and then they're like, oh shit, then they get their memories back together and they're like, oh shit, our daughter, we need to go
that'd be
reconnect
kinda
with our
cool.
daughter. And now daughter's like, oh my god, wait, why are these like this 10-year-old girl and this 10-year-old boy claiming to be my parents like back into my life now?
Can you just
That
make
would
that?
be really good,
Yeah,
actually.
That would be better, and that wouldn't carry with it the same fetishistic connotations.
Yeah, because it'd be fine if they get into a
Yeah.
relationship again if they're
It
both
just
10.
wouldn't be weird. All
Yeah,
the weird
if
stuff would be
anything, it
gone.
would put like a new wholesome angle on it.
It
Of
is
young
weird
love.
that it's trying to be very wholesome with such an inherently convoluted and unwholesome premise. It does probably make it feel even a little creepier than it has to be. I don't know. It's just,
Dude, the
like-
guy takes a picture of him and says, without any irony whatsoever, I'm going to take this picture of you, my 10-year-old wife, and make it my
Ugh.
phone wallpaper.
Oh god.
Does
If I
not think
listen
of
to
the
the-
ramifications at all.
If I listened to the dub, that would be like echoing in my nightmares. every night since I watched it.
The only thing that I like unironically enjoyed about this show was I do like the personality of the wife and the 10-year-old girl. Just because it's funny to see like a little girl behaving like an adult. Because it's the contrast.
Yeah.
But see, the thing is, the husband is like, oh,
And even
but,
then,
like,
I feel
you're
like I need to
acting-
report myself to the FBI just for saying that.
Yeah.
No, he says like, oh, but you have the same personality that my wife does, and it's like in the flashbacks.
She's
because
but
it's
she's
just
really
all these
abrasive as a
generic
child.
vignettes. Like we don't get any of that.
We never see
Literally
we only ever
nothing.
see her be nothing but sweet.
So I was taken aback. I was like, this feels like an entirely different person. And then this guy's gaslighting me like, no, she's acting exactly the same. Exactly the same as she was in those flashbacks. I'm like, did we look at different flashbacks? I'm not sure this is your wife, man. I think you better back off.
She was reborn during the Ritalin epidemic. She's puffed up with a bunch of ADHD drugs now. That's my theory.
At least the opening is creatively directed and way better than it deserves to be.
Yeah, I think I've been convinced to switch my idea from a light 6 to a strong 5 to like a light 5 to a strong 4.
I mean, from what I've
the more
heard,
I remember about this show,
it gets more sus from what I've been reading about the other episodes. So, but we don't have to find out about that.
I can't wait. I cannot wait for the episode where they contrive a way to sleep in the same bed together.
Yeah.
No.
You know that's coming.
Yeah, it plays it too straight, makes it even creepier.
Oh no.
Yeah,
I mean,
I will not be continuing.
Is your goat, oh no. Why? Why?
So now we move away from that to an actually good show and one that I was looking forward to the whole season. Mecha-ude. How familiar are y'all with Mecha-ude as the Kickstarter?
Oh, what?
So I
not at
found
all.
out about
I knew
this
it was
show
kickstarted.
in reverse. Yeah, so I saw. Yeah, there's a story with this one, right? So Mecha-ude on AniList, it has like a 68% average score, and I was like, okay, this is gonna be mid, right? And so I do a little bit of looking into it. I checked the forums briefly. So I was like, oh, there's like this Kickstarter OVA that they did. Like, huh, that's interesting. They're like building up from an indie studio all the way up to actual TV anime. And yeah, as far as I can tell, this is, I think, their only full TV anime. They might have done something else.
I think it's their only full TV show.
And so that got me a little intrigued. But I still saw that score. I was like, oh, but it's probably not that good. This show's so fucking good.
It's so
good. I loved this episode.
It's not Dandadan good, but it's very, very good.
Of all the shows this block, I think this is probably my second favorite, just for just taking me so by surprise, because I was going into it being like, okay, this is like, don't get your hopes up. I liked the character designs, I liked the art style, I liked certain things about it, but I'm like, okay, this is probably not going to be that good. Oh, it's so good.
Dude, it's like a shonen like oriented Kill la Kill.
I was about to say, can we just watch Kill la Kill?
It's very.
Can we just bring Kill la Kill back? The girl looks like Ryuko.
I mean, the face kind of. I mean, But speaking of the girl, all the designs are awesome.
I do like the design.
I love Aki's especially.
The style so much. Yeah, Aki is so pretty and so badass looking. The main character, even, they just look. All of them look so good. They have such good style, dude. All right, so they have these robot weapons that are also alive and emote, and they're very mechanical, and they're CG. And the CG doesn't even look bad! They do a good job with it! I was so surprised!
Yeah, it's like, it's never an eyesore, and it's never, so out of place that it looks hideous. And they composite it well enough to, like, even though, there are times where you'll look at it and be like, okay, yeah, that's a 3D object waving around this 2D drawing. There are times where like they hide it well enough to the point where I'm like, I think they even just flat out draw it in 2D sometimes.
Like,
Yes, I remember
because
that.
they're robot that they're able to get away with it, because even when you recognize that it's 3D, it doesn't really feel out of place because it's supposed to look artificial and, metallic and not organic in the same way that everything else in the show is. And so
Hmm.
even, if you recognize that it's 3D, so long as the 3D looks good and looks composited well, not an issue. And for this episode, it was never an issue for me. I thought it looked good at all times. Like, I'm
I
seriously blown away by this show.
I was very pleasantly surprised by this one for pretty much all the same reasons. I like how it's almost kind of like a and I don't know, you guys might not agree with this characterization at all, but there's almost kind of like a manic pixie dream girl element to it, but the girl is a badass and she looks like Ryuko and her things on her legs look like Senkets. And the guy
I
just
would have to
I
see
do-
more of
I
the
would-
show to be sure.
I don't know about the manic pixie dream girl.
I
yet,
think-
but her characterization is great. Of how she's like kind of like this ninja, but she has mechanical like dog head legs who that pop out of her thighs, and she's always shown to be eating a bunch.
I'll try to clarify. I don't think that she fits the trope very well, but I think the main character does, in the sense that he's characterized as a guy who obviously wants to do good. He's got a big heart. He wants to help people.
He
but
does
he's just,
do good. The first thing he does when he finally teams up with the arm is to knock that bitch out.
Yeah, but like that's I feel like that's the actual conceit of the trope, is that you have the guy and he can be a badass deep down, but he just needs somebody to pull it out of him. I guess that's the more charitable interpretation of the trope. But I mean, this guy's like, he's a bit of a pushover. He gets in his own head and he just kind of goes with the flow, despite wanting to do good things and like having this desire to help people. And even in this episode, at the pivotal moment where like he decides not to abandon the arm guy, who's awesome, it's like it's the more natural thing to do not to abandon. Like he would have to actively make the decision to walk away, and I think that's part of what influenced him to actually staying, even though it was a big like character moment.
It's almost like a Gridman meets My Hero, huh?
I did get Deku vibes from the design of the main character.
And then the whole point of the first episode in My Hero is that Deku like physically can't move away from saving Bakugo, even though like he's quirkless or whatever.
Mm.
But yeah,
I
I'm
have
really
not
excited for
seen
this
it.
show. What? It's okay.
My Hero.
You shouldn't.
Oh, I shouldn't? Okay. Like I said, I haven't seen a lot of shows.
See, what I
Yeah,
liked
I-
about this episode is that it presents this very, fish out of water scenario of this guy doesn't even really know why he's being chased. He knows they want the arm. They, want to stop him from having it for whatever reason, and that, he can leave behind this sentient robot who very clearly shows emotions and attachment towards him, and just let it die and, get into the hands of these people who, as far as he knows, are bad and have, not great things in mind for this guy. Or, he can, even though he understands nothing of why this is happening or what anything is going on, he can just fight regardless and keep this thing alive the best he can. And he doesn't even know, like, what powers the arm has. He knocks that bitch out, but he doesn't even
He
know like,
does.
how he does. Like, the robot arm is like, I just face her and just walk towards her. Just march on over there, and I'll handle the rest. He is just trusting this thing blindly. He has no idea what's going on, really. But that's interesting. To me, that's an interesting scenario for this guy to be put in. And we still don't really know the specifics of why everything is happening, but we've got the rest of the show to figure that out. And he's just as frustrated that he doesn't get it either. The robot has lost its memories. and so the robot can't answer any of his questions. And so the show is going to be for the foreseeable future about figuring out what this scenario is and how this main character, Hikaru, I remembered his name, how he can navigate this scenario, hopefully with keeping this robot arm alive. I
Hopefully.
am very on board with this show.
Yeah, I watched the Kickstarted pilot when it came out, and I was like, oh, this is so cool. I wanted more of it, but I thought it was just gonna be a pipe dream. And then when I heard that it was getting a full TV show, I was like, no fucking way, because I thought it was just gonna be nothing more than a pilot, nothing more than a memory. But now, like, and even now, it still kind of feels like it's got that indie anime quality, but on like a TV budget, if that makes any sense. Like, because the designs are not traditional anime designs; they're more stylized. They're more like everyone's kind of got like marble eyes. Like Aki's design is so angular. The in the opening when you see the forms that they take by like more merging with the arm aliens, and how Hikaru gets like one of his eyes turns yellow as he goes for his big punch. It is pretty good.
Everything about this show reminded me of Kill la Kill, and Kill la Kill is like one of my favorite anime ever, so that's a very good thing. Is this the show everyone was talking about earlier when they said there was like 3 shows in here that were really good? Were we talking about Dandadan, Ranma, and this, or
Yes.
what?
Yep.
Okay.
Were we all on the same page?
I might have had another
Good.
show I was thinking about, but yeah.
Kamimashita,
I wasn't thinking of this.
What
I
are
don't
your
know.
thoughts?
What? Sorry?
Come again? I don't think I caught that.
Crunchy asked for your thoughts on the show.
Whose thoughts?
Yours.
Comments.
Oh. No, sorry about that. Yeah, they're still doing construction. No, yeah, I thought it was really good. Really expressive, evocative animation. I mean, you brought up how it's not. It almost seems not like traditional anime because it has a more indie feel to it. I definitely felt it. I definitely felt that it was almost more Western in a way at times. Which also still plays into the whole Kill la Kill aesthetic because some of the things they do in that show are also not like purely like traditional animation either. I'm really excited to see where it goes. I'm not as positive on it. Like, it's fine. It's a good show. Like I just I don't know. It just seems kind of like fun for now, you know? I think the more we learn about like the different stakeholders and the players, like why exactly there's this kind of animosity between these two characters, it might draw me in more, but for now it's just something pretty to look at.
Yeah.
Yeah,
because
depending on what good shows come out of the second block, there might be a chance, Crunchy, that we could slot Mecha-ude into the podcast rotation.
I would be so down for that. I'm very.
Hopefully, we can get the word out. That people need to
the fact
turn
that
their
this
attention
is
to
less
this show.
than a 7 on AniList is a crime.
Underrated, under fucking rated.
Dude,
We gotta turn the masses, the sheeple, onto the good shit.
I didn't check the isekai, but they're probably doing better than this show in terms of score, and that's
Wait,
just
let me check.
sad.
Let me check.
I think I have now
my
popped
wife.
open.
Oh, the wife show.
Oh my!
Let's see what that had on AniList.
Elementary girl student. I mean, I have a feeling the manga readers for that are probably upset with the adaptation.
Wait,
so I don't.
What did Mecha-ude
It
have?
has a better score on Mal. It has a 7.22 on Mal. The Mecha-ude does.
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
most things have a better score on Mal.
Wait, what does Mecha-ude have on AniList?
68, I believe you said.
Oh my god, it's rated lower by it. This has a 69 on Anime List.
I mean, of course it does. It has to.
That's definitely interesting. I think, yeah, no, that's pretty absurd that it would be below a 7. That being said, looking at my Mal right now, there are 4 shows that I put on hold instead of dropped for this block, and this is one of the 4 shows. Though this is not one of the shows I was talking about earlier. I kind of had forgotten about this one. There's still one yet to come that I really enjoyed.
Oh, Zam. I'm looking.
Oh
to
wait,
see
there's
if I
5.
can
There's 5 I'm
guess-
continuing
Oh
with that one.
wow. Okay.
Yeah. Ranma,
trying
Dandadan,
to
this,
find- oh,
and
there it
2
is.
others.
That'll
To answer your
interesting.
question though, Sumo Show does have a 7.24 on Mal, so it's 0.02 points higher.
That's criminal.
It's not easy being peak.
And speaking of being peak, Mecha-ude 7.22 coincidentally is the same as the next show, How I Attended an All Guys Mixer.
I
Hell
would
yes.
like to coin a new term for this show. We've all heard of Fujo bait, right? But I would now like to coin the term Fujo bait bait. See, this show baits you into calling it Fujo bait, and then subverts that by having the men actually be girls.
Okay.
However, it
This
does
is-
not subvert the trope of being bad.
it's mediocre.
I thought this was gonna be tomboy propaganda, but this is too much even for me.
Okay. I think it's pretty mediocre. That being said, definitely specifically appeals to me and my tastes. One time I kissed a gender fluid individual who was presenting masculine. It was pretty awesome.
Good for you.
And I very much enjoyed that, and I think that enjoyment spilled over into this show for me. There was some like pretty repetitive joke formats, like with the ellipses slowly popping up. 2 of the characters, the blonde girl and the guy she's paired with, are like way uncharismatic. But you know what? Other than that, I still marked this as a on hold because I like the concept a lot. But I know that's just because of my
on my
taste.
lonely nights. I'll turn in my time of
Oh,
need. I'll turn
it's like-
to it and it'll be there.
Yeah, I appreciate a beautiful woman, you know, as much as the next guy. But you know, for me, like the peak is like you know, a very pretty man is hard to come by, you know. And it's like they're not men, but you know, they absolutely fulfill that aesthetic. I very much enjoyed that.
Like
But it's
I'll
pretty
go to
mediocre
bat
overall.
for you know girls with short hair. I don't know if I can go to bat for girls with men's haircuts.
It's so much better. You just gotta just take
Neon, you'd
take
be
the step.
saying the opposite at that shot of all the bochi girls and men's haircuts. Come on.
Okay. Well, that one was funny though,
I just don't like the guy who's like,
because then they're all trying to be the Beatles.
yeah, that's true. I think I know the thing you guys are talking about. But
At this juncture, yeah, these I thought based on the title, that it was going to be, you know, Fujo bait, and it's all gonna be guys, and they're all gonna turn in their straight cards, and they're gonna be, you know, converted by the power of the full mast. But then, as it turns out, no, they're just drag kings.
yeah, pretty much. I just the character I like the least is the guy who's like super caught up about it and like super in his. He's like, oh my god, is this
the
gay?
guy I
Oh
like
my
the
god,
least
what
is
am I
the-
doing?
All of them.
Is the twink?
Yeah, no, it's the guy, not
It's
the
like
cute.
it's like the
not the cute
sportsy
one.
jockey guy. Yeah.
Yeah, like the and then the girl he's paired with, who it's like, I don't like cute things. Why are you giving me a cute thing? And then she like blushes. She's like, I only like cool things.
I'm not
That was
gonna
the
lie, I
tan one,
dropped
right?
this show like
Those
not
two
even
are
halfway through the episode.
violently uncharismatic, but I like the purple hair monotone one.
And the twink.
Yes.
I thought all the characters were just really boring. They just
well,
do
I
the
think you're
thing
stupid.
over and over again.
Oh.
Well, actually, they're
Okay.
not men, but we look at them and we think they're men. It feels weird, dude. Just shut up.
Just own your
Shut up.
bisexuality.
I mean, Suo, the main girl guy, is pretty charismatic in my opinion. And then like
I agree.
she's very obviously
she
into
has the
main
best
guy.
design.
She really
even
does.
even when she looks like a guy, she has the best guy looking design. Because I can believe that a girl like with all those piercings and
Oh yeah.
yeah, the way she carries herself could just be like a very like teasing this is just like how I'm comfortable with my appearance type of girl.
Yeah.
Like the other two, like the tan one especially, the blonde tan one, kind of almost looks uncomfortable being in drag.
Well,
Or at the very least embarrassed.
Well,
I
she
think it's
doesn't
'cause
like
the
cute
purple
things, so
one is taking advantage of her.
yeah, a little bit, yeah. The purple one is based, to be honest.
Oh no, I just
Yeah,
thought this show
if-
was
if-
hella boring.
If I want, I can get my cross-dressing, cross-gender fix here in Ranma.
I guess. Though that's a little different.
Yeah, he's not cross
Yeah,
dressing.
it's a different genre, but like even in this season, and like even in terms of romances, if I wanted to see characters be paired off together, I've got Dandadan, I've got arguably Ranma. Even the chemistry in 365 Days to the Wedding was stronger than anything going on in this show.
Yeah, I just don't know how you
Um,
keep up this.
I actually don't know if I agree with that.
I just don't know how you keep up the gimmick for like 12 episodes. Like if it was maybe like a short, like half-length episodes, it'd be a little better to the stomach. But is every episode really gonna be like, oh my god, they look so much like men, but oh my god, why does my heart
Yes.
flutter? So
My heart goes.
The answer is yes.
dokie-dokie.
They have to get out of the
Oh,
honeymoon
no.
phase, or else I will drop it by episode 2. But for now, I'm like very, very, very tentatively gonna continue because I'm sad and lonely.
Well, at
There
least
are other
he's
ways,
honest.
man.
Stunningly, this is not the worst rom-com this block, but we'll get to that.
Stunningly. Okay.
Stunningly, yes.
All right. We're being a bit negative now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
unfortunately,
I am, 'cause, like, that's how I feel about this show.
Yeah, unfortunately, I did not watch 3 shows on this list. I ended up running out of time.
Bruh.
In my defense, there was a hurricane.
Yeah. Valid. That's cool.
But yeah, so I did not get to watch Magilumiere, Magical Girls Incorporated, which is a shame because it did look interesting based on the premise.
It's not.
It's
like,
not.
come
yeah.
on, it's not that bad. I feel like I'm saying that a lot this this podcast.
Hey, at least you
Um,
weren't the one who said it about the 10-year-old one.
Yeah, see,
All right, so
I didn't give it a high
y'all
five.
Do your best to sell me on this show.
Okay, so it's a adult workplace comedy,
Okay.
with some action in it, and it's about magical girls. What's not to love? It's a
You need to watch Akiba Maid
a
War.
5 out of 10.
I have seen that.
Oh,
well,
it's so good. Akiba Maid War is so
the
good.
first it is a legendary first episode. Is this first episode on that show's level?
it is not
No.
Akiba Maid War.
No, it's not. It's like barely even a
Okay.
comedy. It's just a magical girls show in like a more urban environment. You know, there's a bunch of companies that put out the magical girls to stop these, I don't know, weird creatures from causing havoc. Okay, first of all, that fucking ice thing that they fight was the least threatening thing ever. It
That's
just
true.
sits there. It sits there and does nothing. And the magical girl fighting it, she's like, "Are you okay? Did you?" And I'm just thinking to myself, like, what would have possibly happened to her? Did she like, I don't know, slip on the ice and fall? That's the only way she would have gotten hurt. Eventually, the thing does attack, but like, you should have been doing that from the beginning. You just sit there for like minutes on end while this magical girl just keeps on attacking you. Granted, with the wrong attack, so I guess it barely felt
Yeah.
a thing.
Well,
Still,
something did make me mad about that scene because the girl's only task was like, hey, just reload when it gets to like 50. And then it shows it getting to 50, but she doesn't reload.
well,
And
it's
then they
because
just
it
have
was
like a
the
whole
wrong type of
conversation.
bullets, and so it would have been a waste of resources.
She's
assume.
too busy searching through her Emersonian mind, okay, to come up with the information needed to change the setting.
But it was like, it was a very convoluted UI, they said. But like, I was just thinking like, dude, the time has definitely ran. She's definitely at 0 by now. Like that, but like they weren't even like really playing it for like, oh my God, is she going to run out? Is she going to run out and get screwed over? But I don't know. It was okay. If it were a better show, like say like, a Loner Life in Another World. No, just kidding. If it were like It reminded me of Heavenly Delusion with the ice monster, and I just remember
I mean-
thinking the ice monster in Heavenly Delusion was like 20 billion times more threatening and intense to encounter.
Yeah, because this one isn't threatening at all. It just sits there. It
Okay.
literally just sits there
He's
for like
just
90%
standing there.
of the fight.
Menacingly.
Literally that. Everyone's like shitting themselves, and I'm just like, he's just sitting there.
Oh, the big Crunchy would fuck that thing up for sure.
I would.
All right,
probably-
Crunchy,
Roll
I gotta
sleeves and
ask.
crush dice.
Compare this first episode to the first episode of Gushing Over Magical Girls. Which one was better?
Gushing Over Magical Girls was actually better because at least it had a premise that I could see someone enjoying. Not me,
What?
but, you know, someone definitely enjoyed that. And by someone, I mean Gooners. Gooners enjoyed it. I am not one of them, so I didn't like it. But this one, see, I want to like certain aspects of it because the main character is very earnest. She has a really good memory, which is something I'm extremely jealous of. I wish I had photographic memory. I have basically dementia. But she has really good memory, can remember things with perfection without even trying. And that's like her one skill that she uses. And you know, I can buy into the main girl as a character because, you know, she has that unique trait. She's very earnest. I do want to root for her. But the visuals are okay, the visuals are like really bad. There's this one magical girl's transformation that the blonde bitch does, and it's so garish with so many it has so many effects. It's so bad, it's so ugly. Like this show just doesn't look good.
But have you considered the fact that she goes to the coffee shop Utarbucks and correctly recites the orders?
I mean, I did consider that when I said she had good memory, but I mean,
Wait.
that was a fine scene, but like
I just thought it was
just
funny the way they
the whole
named Starbucks
package.
Utarbucks.
They should have named it Wick Starbucks.
Oh, for
Quick
real.
bucks.
Wait, so Crunchy, you said you have like borderline dementia.
Yes.
Do you remember that $420 you owe me?
Oh shit. Oh fuck. Let me just.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
we'll
escape
sort
the
it out
call real
after.
quick.
We'll sort it out after.
Yeah. So, but also another thing that I'm not sure how aware the show is of this, but in the yellow bitch's magical girl transformation with all the ugly effects, she says, you know, she refers to the company that she works for as the sole company that she has pledged her allegiance to. That's dystopian as fuck.
I think that's modern day Japan.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, does the show know? Do they know how not good that line is? Because they do frame that company as being one of the good ones compared to this other company that's like just obsessed with money and they, you know, don't follow the safety regulations properly. No, meanwhile, this is like the good company. It looks out for its workers. You know, they want to get another new hire so that the blonde bitch doesn't have to work as much. And I'm like, that's weird. I don't care how ethical looking the company is. It's capitalism. They've got to be relying on like slave labor from China somewhere along the line.
Magical girl slave labor.
Come on, those like mechanical brooms, like brooms they use, bro. I swear those were made by like 10-year-olds in China. You know, they probably on a daily basis throw themselves into the suicide nets while making them.
True.
No, now I want to watch a magical girl slave labor show.
Oh god. But yeah, like
Yeah.
that's just a really dystopian line, and I'm not sure the show is aware of it. So that's interesting.
Well, you're not doing a great job of selling me on it.
No, because I'm not trying to. It's not that good.
Well, you just said you wanted to watch Magical Slave Labor Show. There you go.
I gave it like a mid 5 so far.
It's the first episode is the most 5 out of 10 that's ever been.
I totally agree.
I'll have to see if I can squeeze it in before we record the second block
It's
next
not
week.
worth
You will not have to do that.
I
know,
assure
that's
you,
not
you
gonna
are not
work.
missing anything.
It's probably above average for this block, I in my opinion.
Is it above or
Slightly.
below the curve?
Like, I mean, it's better than every isekai, I would say. The dragon one is like kind of close. It's probably it's better than the 10-year-old one. Fuck, that might be it. It's better than some of them to come as well.
But is it better than Murai in Love?
I'm
It's
conflicted
actually
about
tough.
this one.
That's a tough one.
I'm
Where did the
conflicted about this
animation
show.
go? Who ate the
It didn't show
animation?
up. Hello,
in
animation.
sick.
Animation machine broke. Understandable. Have a nice day.
It's have you
It's
this is going to be a little bit
literally-
obscure. Have you guys ever seen Onara Goro?
It's the fart one.
Yes, the fart one.
I've
seen
heard of
the
it.
first
I've not
episode of
seen
The
it.
animation
I've heard of it.
is almost reminiscent of like prime Onara Goro, which was
I
made
think
by
that
like
was a
3
shit
people.
A literal shit post.
It's
This is
funny.
more
I
like
gave
this
it a,
show-
Way of the
it a
House
5.
Husband.
This show reminded me of exactly. Way of the House Husband, where it had no animation where it probably should have.
voice acting's
Except
good.
this anime I will say is better than the anime adaptation of Way of the House Husband because at the very least they replaced the animation with wacky voice performances, mainly from the teacher girl,
Mhm.
and what visuals they do put in are decently funny. Like I my favorite one was the one with the nerves, like how her nerves were being
The
cut through by
lumberjack.
a lumberjack, and then at one point they just having a non-diegetic conversation in her head with this fake apprentice being like, my apprentice, this axe is no good, these nerves are too tough, fetch the chainsaw.
I'm not gonna lie, I did not finish the first episode of this.
Oh no.
I was
I
too
also did not
offended
finish.
by the utter lack of animation. And also just the premise is kind of weird. Like, main guy tries to get the attention of his teacher and make her fall in love with him.
Hey man, it's only a 7-year age gap. We're speaking of curves, we're beyond the curve of
We
this
are
block.
beyond. It's like a Zetsubo age gap.
Okay, but Zetsubo is like a fucked up dark comedy, so it feels less out of place in that show.
It does,
Like,
yeah.
it knows how fucked up everything in that show is. This seems to be more so going for, like, quirky romantic
Well,
comedy.
My favorite bit in this show is when he says something that for whatever reason flusters her, and whenever he flusters her, she just turns into a Buddha, and he's like, "Oh, you turned into a Buddha again."
Okay,
And
I
then
did love the
he
Buddha
just
thing.
looks and she's a Buddha, and she's like reciting a haiku. It's so
She
bizarre.
just recites haikus, being like, I can't with this guy. No, seriously, I can't with this guy.
I can't with this guy. No, seriously, I cannot. I can't with this guy. And then she turns into a fucking Buddha for like 30 seconds, and then it happens again like a minute later.
I'm conflicted about this show because I'm not gonna be continuing it. But
Me neither.
I
yeah.
might check out the manga because the humor is definitely there. Like there is a heartbeat somewhere in here. This was not I hesitate to call this soulless because clearly they were trying something. I don't think it worked out as well as they were probably hoping it would have, but there was an energy. There was definitely an energy to this show.
I feel like it would have been really perfect and digestible, and I would continue watching it if it were shortened into at least half episodes, if not shorter.
Yeah.
That way it could like fit more animation in, and you
I
know,
agree.
it's not like they're really trying to
If
tell
it
any
was
overarching
animated
story
at
here.
all, it would be infinitely more bearable.
I thought it was okay. I gave it like a 5.
I just was too put off by it just doesn't move.
Maybe I'm
mean,
not
it
jaded
moves,
enough.
But
I have to get
barely.
more
It
jaded.
doesn't animate, it's just stills and then a little bit of like, oh, the lip flaps and oh, sometimes
Yeah,
they shake.
That's all. Yeah, they don't do any like body movements aside from their jaws moving up and down for the lip flaps. Every time we don't even get to see a walk cycle. We just see them like get keyframed and motion tweened.
Mm.
The OP was pretty good.
Yeah,
The OP feels
Like,
straight out of Pop
inventive.
Team Epic. I wonder if it's the same guy. I wasn't able to figure it out.
I highly doubt it. This feels too cohesive to be Pop Team Epic related. Yeah, I'm not gonna be finishing it, but it is good try. I give this one a decent attempt out of 10.
That's exactly what I would give it.
Look, all I'm gonna say is that during their inevitable wedding, the priest is gonna say, instead of saying "you may now kiss the bride," he's gonna say "you may now kiss the groom," and then the guy's gonna be like, "Which one?" Get it? Because she's groomer.
Yeah.
It's only a 7-year age gap. He's 17. He's
I mean, to be
practically
fair,
an
she
adult.
doesn't want
Dog
it.
is-
So it's
She
kind
doesn't
of
want it.
It's reverse grooming.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's like he's so
You're right.
relentless.
The kid is grooming her into being a pedophile.
Yeah.
He's like breaking her down bit by. It's like okay,
Is it
this-
truly? Who
this
is
is a bit-
truly to blame here?
This is a bit dark, but it's like it was there was a competitive Smash Bros player, wouldn't you believe it, who was outed as like a groomer, and then one day
Unheard of.
he returned to the scene.
That doesn't narrow it
Return
down,
to the
Rufus.
I know.
scene.
He returned to the scene. He's like, well, I was talking to my therapist, and you know what? I'm pretty sure the 14-year-old actually groomed me.
Oh, okay. I do
I think
remember
wasn't that Nairo?
Yes, Nairo.
Oh,
Was he the one involved with Captain Zack?
He was, and he was like, Captain
Okay.
Zack thrust himself onto me. I
wait,
was
but
like,
did the 14-year-old dress up like his favorite Otome character?
No, but like it was.
Did Captain Zack dress up as Bayonetta?
No,
As
the true
name.
crime was that it was gay.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
No, wait, you might be cooking.
That's like how I feel like I saw. This is a bit unrelated, but I swear I'll just say it and then move on. There was a Endless Jest did a review of Pretty Boy Detective Club, which is about like a middle school detective club of pretty boys, and he was just not shutting up about. He's like, "Man, like I'm not gay, so I don't like this. Like I'm not gay." And it was like I thought it was so funny that that's the part that he took so much objection to of the situation, and it reminded me of that.
Yeah, well, moving on now. I also did not see Terrified Teacher at Ghoul School, but given the score and the studio, it didn't look like I was missing much.
Yeah.
I started this one as we were
Yeah.
setting up for the show, and I didn't 2x it, surprisingly. I did not feel like it was that bad, but it also just didn't seem... Okay, so the premise, you got a scaredy cat teacher teaching a bunch of yokai. Seems like a pretty good premise to me, but they did not go anywhere funny with it. And so I don't think I'll be returning to it when I have... even when I have the time to watch more. I'm just gonna be like, doesn't seem worth it.
A lot
A little,
of the joke is like he has a uniform fetish that wasn't really clicking for me.
Yeah.
Like, oh, he's also kind of a pervert.
Yeah. It was.
I'm looking at the poster. What is that creature in the bottom right corner?
Is it the cute like potato guy?
Yes.
Yeah. So he's from a species of like they're kind of like Tanuki, but there was some misinformation spread that instead of putting like hats on their head or whatever, tails or whatever Tanuki do, they put human nut sacks on their head. And he's
transport.
very gung ho about exposing this as misinformation.
But he just
But-
looks like that. That's just his form.
That's his default form, though. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm also seeing what appears to be Nico Robin doing the hand thing.
I kind of like the opening visually. I don't remember the song at all.
From the outset, y'all can correct me if you've seen the show. That this reminded me most of just by like the premise. Sounds like a reverse of Welcome to Demon School, Iruma-kun.
I've
Did
never
not
even
watch
heard
that,
of that.
unfortunately. Never heard of it.
No.
It's like the blue-haired guy who looks almost exactly like a blue-haired Deku who his parents sell him off for like alcohol money, and he ends up in a family of demons, and he goes to it. He's the only human at a school full of demons.
Oh my god.
I literally have never heard of that.
And it's a comedy.
Oh, yeah, it's not. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just too much of a noob.
This guy is the only human in this school. However, he comes from a long ancestral line of yokai exorcists, and he has latent power that he uses to help him in different ways. Like
Woo!
the very first episode is about that girl in the red hoodie, and she's like, she got addicted to gaming because someone from their class gave her a video game, and then she was like, more please, and then she just like stopped coming to school because she was too busy being a gamer. So then he like bursts his way into her place using his special powers that he doesn't know of to bring her back to take a class photo.
Weirdly, very reminiscent of, oh god, I'm forgetting. I don't think it was the first. It was either the first or the second episode of Zetsubo Sensei where they go into Kiri Komori's house to break her out and have her finally start attending school. It really reminded me of that.
You heard it here first. This is just like Sayonara Zetsubo Sensei.
It's just as
Guys,
good.
I made a horrible
official...
mistake that killed any interest I had in the show. I looked at the page for it, and I looked at the posters, and I saw the commemorative manga art poster announcing the anime, and the manga looks infinitely better.
Mm.
Oh, I see. That's about all I have to say about that one. That one wasn't one of the more memorable ones, to be honest.
I was like, I just finished, like, one of my friends is watching Ass Class for the first time.
So
I was like poking in every now and then. It kind of like brought a little urge to watch some teacher action. So I don't know.
Okay.
But
like
you
wholesome
see,
teacher
Ass
anime.
Class has this thing called being good.
Yeah, you know.
You know, this little known thing called it's good, actually.
I watched Ass Class before I had a brain. But before I had a brain, I remember thinking that it was very well written. So I don't know if that aged well or not. I don't know if you guys have seen all of Ass Class.
It's fine.
But I really liked it a long time ago.
I've seen all of Ass Class. It is the second season is genuinely like the final stretch of episodes is all straight 10 out of 10.
Okay, so I was right.
But
Yeah,
is
you're
it
probably
as
for
good
the wrong
as
reasons.
Haigakura?
Yeah.
we may not know.
I'm not gonna
There-
lie, I kind of tapped out around here. I saw the beginning of this show, and it starts off with narration. In the kingdom of blah blah blah, there's these gods, and they're the four perils. And then it immediately goes to kid. You must use these beads and song and dance to save your father. Just a bunch of exposition. I was like, I don't fucking care anymore.
I
You
do
lost
not
me immediately.
think I know what this is about.
So
I don't know
After
what
I-
this is really about.
I think
because
it's about
immediately
guys who
dropped it.
dance to capture gods and work with gods. I'm too distracted by the horrible character designs, though.
Oh my god, it's offensive to the eye. Also, like the dude who has that rock breaking spirit, whose like character is just he's like unbelievably an asshole and just like fucking hates this dude for no reason. I didn't find a lot of charisma in this one. It was a bit incoherent, and the character designs were bad.
like you know how
Yeah,
you know how that other show
I think I made it like 7 minutes into it before I tapped out.
like if Mixer Show is Fujo bait, this is just Fujo bait, I think.
Yeah, I saw
Yeah.
the clearly flamboyantly gay like what is that gradient? Pink and blue hair.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's too. I need sunglasses to look at him. His design is so bright and awful.
He's almost cute.
No,
Almost cute isn't being cute, Rufus.
No, I didn't say he's cute. But
he's
he's
not even
almost.
close.
You know, a few tweaks we can get there.
The main dude from 365 Days to the Wedding was cuter than this guy.
Oh god.
At least he has like messy, somewhat disheveled hair.
If that's what floats your scrote.
Yeah, I don't know, this
Speaking
show's
of
bad.
floating. Sorry, did you have one more thought to say, Crunchy?
No, I was just gonna say that it's bad again.
Okay, well, Speaking of floating, I'm very sad I missed out on this show because man, this is the fishing anime. Negative, positive angler.
How do you guys feel about this show? Negative or
She
positive?
said it was either her or fishing. Sometimes I miss her. Women love me. Fish fear me. Mermaids are indifferent about me.
Ooh.
Yeah, so this is another one of those like 5 to 6 out of 10 shows where I'm kind of in the middle. Not really negative or positive. Just kind of straight. It's okay, but tonally it is very bizarre. It is like very, very because, you know, speaking of Sayonara Zetsubo Sensei, you know, Rufus has been referencing it so much. But my thought when
I
I
wonder
watched
why.
this show was that it's like Sayonara Zetsubo Sensei meets fishing. Because the very first scene is the main character trying to kill himself. Exactly like the beginning of Sayonara Zetsubo Sensei.
All right, damn, I missed a good one then.
It's-
Yeah.
It's framed in a very
And-
irreverent, goofy way.
Yeah, just like Sayonara Zetsubo Sensei.
Yep.
You know, he tries to kill himself, like, ow, 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 and then, you know, falls off the noose, starts, like, you know, freaking out or whatever. His life is comically horrible. He wants to, you know, die. He has a terminal illness, so he'll die anyway in 2 years. Loan sharks are after him, and so he constantly gambles away his money in order to try and get the funds to pay them back. Even while he's out fishing on a boat, the loan sharks are on their own boat, driving towards him. So, you know, it's a little bit like Team Rocket is after him to steal his
Yeah.
Pikachu if the Pikachu was the money they owe them, or the money he owes them.
Oh, what the heck? Ifaruz plays the main character? I'm sold.
It's
It's,
okay. Oh, sorry. You go first.
No, it's she's got weird hair. Like the weirdest hair I've ever seen.
Definitely.
Like, honestly, probably doesn't. I don't want to watch the show solely for that reason.
Hey, I like it.
It looks like a gourd.
It is
It
a
does.
gourd.
Yeah.
But the thing is, what makes it kind of weird, though, in terms of tone, is that clearly, you know, a lot of this is a joke. But it also plays it kind of serious. No, the actual ramifications it has for the main character's life are taken seriously by the story. And so it's this weird push and pull where the depressing shit itself is goofy, it's a joke, but then on the other hand, you are supposed to take it a little seriously and be, you know, feel a little sympathetic for him. Whereas in Sayonara Zetsubo Sensei, it's all a joke. You never feel sorry for Nozomu. You know, it's just insanity and irreverence because it's a comedy, right? But here it kind of plays it, you know, half and half, and I don't think it does that particularly well.
It definitely worked for me. Just to go and like just say it in a very inflammatory way, my worst take of this entire block of episodes. I think I liked this more than the first episode of Mecha-ude. Like, I loved this.
Really?
I loved this pilot. I loved the way it started.
Oh god.
With the I know it's a bad take. But the thing you were talking about with like the pseudo seriousness, pseudo comedy of it, I really really liked the way they did that. I liked because, you know, it's framed by him having, you know, like these self-deleting tendencies, or I mean, we already said the word. These like suicidal tendencies, but also like he only has a few years to live, so there's like a constant push and pull of his desire to live and his desire to die. And it's like it's really goofy and almost absurd. And like the fact that he like sees his life as like having so little meaning is what makes that sort of like weird, goofy, irreverent relationship with the mob who's like actively trying to like do horrible things to him work for me. Also, his life isn't like comically horrible. I mean,
What do you mean it isn't comically
Wait,
horrible?
he's
He has
gonna
a
die,
terminal
dude.
illness.
Okay, yeah, he's gonna die, but like, I
He
mean,
wants to kill
it's
himself.
emphasized that
The
his
loan sharks
mindset
are
is
after
the
him.
problem.
His house got demolished. Literally,
Oh, I forgot about
the
that.
scene
Yeah,
at
that
the
is
end
pretty.
of the episode is that his house is now rubble.
Yes, but
He's addicted
you
to
see, brother, his
gambling,
home is the
too.
fishing. His home is the fishing
He
hole.
gets chased into falling into the water where he has to get saved, and then he starts fishing, and it
It's
like soothes
great
his
though,
depression.
because it's like, what's I think because
So what you're saying is that the moral of this show is that any and all of life's problems can be solved with a fishing hole.
yes.
Look, she said it was either her or fishing, and sometimes I miss her.
Listen, you can't say that because you don't like this show as much as I do. This show is awesome because it has the terminally ill like plot conceit is something that I feel like a lot of people just find inherently interesting, because I feel like one of the big arcs, so to speak, that like every person must go through typically over the course of like their entire life is like that of coming to terms with death, and it like consolidates that into like a digestible story length story. And in that sense, he's like he's pretty close to death, but it's not all too different from what we all have to experience, because even though we don't have an exact date, well, I mean, Crunchy might disagree with this, but we all know that it's like approaching. It's coming for us, and we do have to confront that on some level. And a lot of times when people start getting closer to their death when they're old, they start fishing. And maybe this show reveals the secret as to why so many old people who are close to death do so much fishing.
Maybe fishing is actually the meaning of life. Maybe that's
Exactly.
I really wonder
many
if the
people turn to
creator
it.
of this show like has obviously nowhere close to the exact experience of the character, because it's like, over the top, seemingly
Yeah.
deliberately. But, in the sense that like fishing may have, severely improved or even saved his life, and that he is, pouring his heart out in this way, because the actual fishing stuff is convincing. It does make me be like, oh, fishing looks kind of fun, actually. I mean, I say that
Soothing.
having fished before, so I know it actually is kind of fun. I've only fished with a cane pole, though, catching like tiny fish.
Oh, this newbie
But-
over here.
It was still
There's a
fun. I like
tweet
fishing.
that I saw online about it said like I genuinely think my life would be like I'd be set for life if all I had in my possession was a Wawa and a fishing hole. I can't disagree.
I think just to like conclude my gushing about this show, I love the ambivalent atmosphere because of the fact that it's fishing. It's like kind of got that contemplative feel to it. Maybe I'm just seeing things because I really I like the main guy a lot, okay? And I like how it's kind of setting up to be potentially like a bit of a ensemble cast with characters from all walks of life, different ages. That's not something you see too often. There's like a middle-aged guy who's fishing. His design's pretty goofy. There might be a bit of a romance brewing. I'm absolutely going to continue this one. But that is all. I'm going to continue this one.
Like I
Yeah,
think
I
it's
don't know.
fine. Like a couple years ago, there was another fishing anime called Hokago Teibonishi, and that was like cute girls fishing. And I think I've just like reached my fishing anime allotment. Like that was good enough for me.
Was that Slow Loop?
No, not Slow Loop. It was before Slow Loop. This is
many
After
fishing
School
anime are there?
Embankment Journal. I think it's those three with Negipaws. But yeah,
Well,
I think
also, sorry.
no. Go ahead.
I was just gonna make a stupid joke about Gyo Ultimate Fish Attack from Junji Ito, but
There's a fishing anime.
I don't know. This makes me want to try Diary of My Days at the Breakwater.
It's good. It's
again.
well. See, the thing is, I didn't really think about the whole like, having to grapple with your own mortality angle. Like that could be interesting. But just when they went into like the whole like explanation of like this is how you cast a reel, and when you feel the tug, you pull it back. I was like, I already saw this in the Cute Girls anime one. I don't need to see it again. It's okay. But I definitely think it's like a fine show, probably better than average.
It is definitely
there were a lot
better
of scenes
than
I
the
liked, but I don't
average
want to
in this
just
block.
take over the podcast by talking about why I like this show for too long.
No, you're fine.
Better
I
than
mean, you're the
Mecha-ude.
only one who
Heard it here
likes
first.
it. You have to be the
You heard
one
it here
to
first, guys.
gas it.
I considered it extremely marginally more appealing to me personally than Mecha-ude was.
I think that take is insane.
Well, we can't let you go on about it for too long because we have
Yep.
to save a 30-minute pocket window of time for Hamidashi Creative.
Oh, is that
We
next?
all have positive things to say about that, right?
Is that next?
It is next.
Hamidashi
Oh my God.
Creative is the greatest piece of fiction ever created.
Can
I
I?
genuinely think so. It is actually the best show. I was lying this entire time just to make this, the plot twist of the century. That is, if you didn't see it coming. But if you've seen Hamidashi Creative, you know that it is in fact the greatest thing ever made, and you are not surprised at all. I am urging you, everyone watching this podcast, to watch Hamidashi Creative. It will change your life, and more specifically, the way you view takoyaki. Because I swear, I could watch these girls talk about takoyaki 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The fact that this is limited to just 3-minute episodes, criminal. Why is it so short? Why are there not 150 episodes of it, all at least 5 hours long, frankly? I could watch this forever. I could genuinely listen to these, cute, adorable girls talk about takoyaki all day, because really, if you think about it, takoyaki is a metaphor for the human condition. You have this sort of rougher exterior, but once you really, chow down, let it marinate in your mouth, you get to the softer interior with all the ingredients, and it has what makes the takoyaki so special. It even, you can mix and match them. There's so much diversity, and it really just, to me, speaks to the heart of everything at the core of life itself. I think Hamidashi Creative is the greatest show of all time, and I will remember it for many years to come. I've said my piece.
I think that was very
So-
beautifully put.
So
I don't even think
I
we
was
need
very
to talk
curious.
about anything else about the show. We can just move on.
I have something to say about it.
I have something to say about it too.
All right.
I
I mean,
was
you
very
loved
curious
it, right?
about. I was very curious about like the visual novel that it's based on, because I was like, all right, what is this? What is this from? What is this adapting? And I looked it up. It is a visual novel. It's a Chinese visual novel, and it is available on Steam. It's $30. And let me read you the mature content description real quick. The developers describe the content like this: the game may not be suitable for all players. Included erotic jokes, dialogues, sexual innuendo, kiss. All characters in this game are over 18 years, and this app does not contain the following contents: alcohol/drugs, rape/sexual violence, self-harm, and then in all caps, sex.
Okay.
So yeah, this was definitely just thrown into Google Translate.
So it says
Um,
does not contain the following, right?
Yeah, it does not contain the following.
All right. Yeah, I mean, obviously Hamidashi Creative isn't going to go so low as to contain these mature themes. It's very highbrow, it describes
Yeah.
so much with so little. It uses takoyaki as this all-encompassing metaphor for just so many things, really. The human condition, the planet. I think there was even a little commentary about, the difference between capitalism and communism in there.
I definitely agree. I think there was a little bit of a misunderstanding. I thought that I was misunderstanding how much of this we were supposed to consume. I actually played the entire 45-hour visual novel in preparation for this podcast. No, but I would just like to regale any of our viewers with let me just lay out the room that all these girls are standing in for the entirety of this episode, because I took notes of every object in the room. So the room has some books on a bookshelf, 2 tables with a total of 0 chairs anywhere in the room. There's not a single chair in this entire room for eating. A fridge, and finally 2 what appear to be unplugged waffle makers just on the table in front of them that are unplugged, and their charging cables are so impractically short that they would have to be used like on the floor right next to the outlet if they were to be used. And that's the entire room they're in.
And it doesn't need any more objects. With those
doesn't.
objects alone, it tells just the entire story of peak fiction.
And the shading on the character designs is not really off and didn't really bother me.
Listen, you don't understand the thing about the waffle makers. It's actually symbolic. There's actually some deeper hidden meaning and symbolism that you need to have a base level of media literacy to be able to comprehend.
Well, they implicitly ask the big questions, like, what is the meaning of life? Like, do you like waffles? Yeah, I like waffles, Do you like pancakes? It starts to get a little bit more intricate at that point, and I think it's definitely a very very perceptive and mature show
in
thematically.
This show, it's so evocative because it says so much without having to put really anything in the
and
show
all in
itself.
just 3 minutes.
In
45
minutes.
hours, if you guys.
No, just think about the placement
3 minutes
of
and
the
45
toaster in the room, Think about the placement of all these different objects and what they symbolically represent.
And what do they represent, Crunchy?
I could go on forever, but the main thing they represent is takoyaki. Takoyaki as a metaphor for everything. And that's what it's all about.
That's what it's all about.
Well, you know what? I've got quite a bit more to say about the show. Are you all want to hear my in-depth breakdown of Hamidashi Creative?
Yes.
Sure. Let's get into
1,000
the meat and
times
potatoes
yes.
of this, even more so than
All
I
right.
have.
Puniru is a Kawaii slime is an anime based on a manga created by Toei Animation that premiered on October 6, 2024 on Sundays at 23:45 Japanese Standard Time, produced by TV Tokyo, Shogakukan, Shueisha Productions, Toho Animation, and Shogakukan.
That's perfect.
And I liked it.
This show,
I actually liked it.
It was all right.
wanted to like it. I really did. I wanted to.
What stopped you?
It's not funny.
It isn't.
It did not make me laugh.
The side characters are
laugh.
lame too. In one note, I don't like them.
Yes, but at the same time, when she cuts off her breasts and then hey, you want to feel them up, right? All right, slice, have at it, boys.
That sounds convenient.
That was an interesting scene. I
laughed. I laughed at that.
I was on board with it up until no, there was actually one really funny line where she was she got locked. She was Gyaru slime, and she got locked in there with that one dude, and he was really into playing with slime for some reason. I don't remember. It was associated with some kid's game that he was into.
Think he's just a kid. He's a kid at heart.
And she walks out and she screams, "My adorable slime body has been besmirched." There's air bubbles everywhere. I thought that was pretty funny.
I loved her hilariously over theatric and a complex magical girl transformation.
Yes.
Where each time you think she's finally gonna transform, it's actually just leading into another transition.
I did like that a lot.
Some starch, some something and some starch,
some borax and some starch mixed together, and then she's surrounded by ribbons that are all coalescing into a spiral, which actually turns out to be a slide that she's sliding down, and then she lands into a gachapon machine, which you think will pop out of her new uniform, but it's just her, and she pops out with the gachapon, then opens it up, and then another version of her pops out wearing the outfit.
I definitely I don't expect anything from this show in terms of character writing or relationship development, obviously. So it's
I thought it was cute.
I feel it's cute. It's cute, I guess, but I don't expect much.
It's funny. If only there were a portmanteau of these words. That I know. Could describe it
if only.
Cute
it escapes me though.
Fun-ute.
If
Fun-ute
one exists,
no doubt. But yeah, it's I feel like this one's depending on how cute and funny you think it is going to determine whether or not you like it or not. I don't think it's as boring as some of the other shows on this block were, but it's definitely not one of the better ones. I'm not gonna continue it.
While it's not anything amazing, I liked it.
Her hair pisses me off.
About halfway through the episode, honestly, like, it's better even than some of the episodes I watched the entirety of. And the one thing I think that is most to the show's credit is that it feels cared about. When I watch it, it feels like the people making it had a vision for it and do really like what they're making. And the, art looks generally good. I like the character design of the slime girl a whole lot, but the actual content of the jokes just wasn't doing anything for me.
The way she like would turn into like just actual slime with a face instead of her normal human design, and like would seep out of the walls and the faucets to follow around the main guy. At its peak, I kind of got vibes of like Nokotan at its peak.
I was about to say,
Only
Nokotan
that
fell
good.
off that.
Only shades though. Only shades though. Like
At least I thought
this
so.
episode was nowhere near peak Nokotan as a whole. And yes, Nokotan did fall off. I agree with you.
Okay, thank God I'm not alone, because I only heard like praise for it early, and then I didn't hear anything else about it.
No, the first 3 episodes are godlike, but then it falls off.
It really just does not do anything new.
But yeah, I thought this one was cute, and it made me laugh. And you know what? That's all you need at the end of the day. All you need is a kawaii slime.
But is it
Really.
as good as Kinoko Inu?
This
I'm
one
curious
is irresponsible.
about.
Okay, so I started off this show in 1.5 speed, and it still felt too slow. So I put it in 2 times speed, and it still felt too slow. So I stopped watching.
Nothing.
It's just
The dialogue is clumsy, and I don't like the idea of replacing one dog with another.
I
A
also
mushroom
noted
dog?
that the dialogue was very anime.
Yeah, so basically the premise of this show, his dog dies, he's depressed, and then a mushroom dog grows, and then it feels like the same thing as the show. My wife got reincarnated as an elementary schooler.
If she was a
Where,
dog.
yeah, where it's like, oh, main guy is depressed.
At
And
least we don't
now
have to
he
worry about the
isn't.
guy fucking this one.
Oh God, dude, I
Or do
really
we?
wouldn't be sure.
Or do we?
Dude, this thing has so many like whimsical little abilities. As long as it can't shapeshift, we're good.
Can it turn into a sexy anime babe?
Yeah, I hope not. I was interested to
If
see.
not, we should be safe.
It was so cute though when he sprayed it. When he realized that the mushrooms only need water and he sprayed it. That bit of animation was adorable. But I don't have much good to say.
I would have taken a shovel to the damn thing if it popped out of my dirt.
It is pretty terrifying. Very terrifying. I just
think
don't
this
understand what the show is going to
shows-
be about.
It's simple. Have you lost like a pet in your life and you feel a hole in your heart? Just replace it with another one immediately.
The mushroom version.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just make sure
I
it's
don't.
taken
I
over
didn't
by
like what
those
the show did.
parasitic mushrooms that exist in real life.
Well,
There's fucking a mind-controlled zombie.
I like the idea that the mushroom is more of a the mushroom dog is more of a metaphor for his delving into psychedelics to try to cope with his overwhelming depression. I thought it was very interesting that they decided to take that route. I like how there's like
the scene where they're tripping balls together. What did catch me off guard?
I think I thought it was kind of interesting that they were dream sequences. I'm a big dream sequence enjoyer. I think it's very conducive to having that good old anime visual metaphor I like so much. These dream sequences were boring as fuck. Like they were, I don't know. I just didn't care for this show at all. I was interesting to hear what Crunchy thought because it has a struggling artist in it, and Crunchy said in the past that's all it takes, but I guess
See,
not.
I saw that in the show's plot description, and I was like, can this make up for all the bad that I'm sure this show will be? And spoiler alert, it did not make up for it.
It's barely an aspect of his character.
It's
Yeah,
more so
honestly.
just, yeah, what Neon said.
Window
Hey,
dressing.
hey, want a new pet? Yeah, your pet. Get a new one. You have cute dog again. Yeah, I don't know.
Based.
It's literally, it's just a flat line. Also, how are these full-length episodes? How?
I know.
Remember
feel like
when
a lot
I
of
said I had to
shows-
put it on
yeah.
2 times speed and it was still
The,
too
the
slow?
premise was just that good, Crunchy, that they had to make it a full-length episode.
I think
This would have been so much better. First of all, if it didn't exist, but that's a little mean. So how about we make the episodes 3 minutes? There we go. The show is fixed. 3-minute
think-
episodes, 12 of them. That's all it needs. Literally, what could you get from the premise beyond that? I'm drawing blanks.
I believe it was trying to be like atmospheric, but it just does not have the budget or the chops to do that at all. And I absolutely agree it should have been shorter. There's like I think of like have any of you guys seen Let's Make a Mug too?
Nope.
Oh,
Nope.
well, that's an example of a good slice of life show that's quite atmospheric despite not having a very good budget, and it absolutely does well by its runtime. But if it were stretched out to full length episodes, it would be like this. So I love that show, but if that show were like this show, I would hate it.
It seems like the manga went on for 12 years.
How?
Perfect.
So they've
Literally,
got
wait,
the-
really?
the-
How? What?
the episodes are full length because there's that much content, probably.
Mm.
They've
It's
gotta-
a dark
that
shonen
come
in disguise.
episode 6, like that mushroom dog is gonna be dead, and so he's gonna be like growing an entire garden of mushroom dogs, and it's going to be a commentary about how people, in order to fill the holes in their hearts left behind by grief, they will do unspeakable things. They will just spiral further and further into depression.
It's a
taking
very subtle
more
commentary.
drugs,
Oh, sorry.
just more and more, just spiraling further and further into their own delusions until it completely consumes them, and they're left becoming nothing more than a shell of their former self, a shell of a man. They are nothing but a husk, empty, light enough to be blown away by the wind. The end.
Yep, I have no more words. How's it going, everyone? Future Neon here. Thank you so much for watching part 1 of the Fall 2024 Seasonal Anime Impressions podcast. If you want to stay tuned for part 2 and don't want to miss another episode of the Castaway anime, go ahead and hit the subscribe button down below, like the video, leave a comment letting us know what you think, share this video with your friends, do all that or don't, I don't know, I ain't your dad, but if you subscribe and like the video, it really helps us out. Thank you so much for watching, tune in for part 2 next week. I'm Neon Manta, and you'll see us next time.